and enjoy the sunshine.
What are you doing? Everyone else getting out and about. What are you doing?
Well, when I get home,
You're not doing anything.
I might sit down, and just relax and enjoy the sunshine.
Get out and about.
Yeah, well, I might just, just chill. Probably fall asleep in it. Probably come in on Monday all sunburn.
Wouldn't be like, yeah. All right, then have a great weekend, Kevin. Thank you very much for that. Okay, our Friday panel joining us very shortly, but at 9 o'clock, let's get a news update, and we cross over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. National Broadband Ireland have announced that engineering survey works for almost 1,200 Donegal premises in the Ballyshannon deployment area are now completed. This includes the rural communities of Bundoran, Woodvale and Cliff. There are approximately 33,000 premises in the Donegal intervention area, including homes, farms, commercial businesses and schools, with NBI reporting significant progress. With more detail, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
In their latest statement, National Broadband Ireland says their crews have made substantial progress near Ballyshannon, where 1,187 Donegal premises included in the Ballyshannon development area have recently completed engineering surveying work. There are now over 5,900 homes, businesses and farms in County Donegal that can order broadband. NBI Chief Executive Peter Hendricks says the rollout of broadband connection points is also key to delivering the access to high-speed internet in the intervention area, and recent sites to be connected include places like Glenveigh National Park, Arclangudor and Minria Hostel. He added the list of premises ready to connect in rural area includes over 2,700 premises in Creasla and over 3,200 in Letterkenny.
The SDLP leader, Colm Eastwood, says there is nothing to be gained from attacking police officers. The Foyle MP was speaking after police were attacked during a search operation in the Cregan area of Derry last evening. They were attacked with petrol bombs, rocks, masonry and other objects. A quantity of cash, a gun, ammunition and a number of suspected pipe bombs were seized. Colm Eastwood says that young people involved were only putting themselves and their futures in jeopardy. The government's been warned the taxation of construction materials is counterproductive during the current accommodation crisis. The Society of Chartered Surveyors in Ireland is opposing the 5% effective concrete products levy, saying it hinders development at a time when construction costs are soaring. It was introduced following the publication of the latest redress scheme for those impacted by defective blocks in Donegal and elsewhere. The SCSI's Kevin Hollingsworth says the state could make up the deficit elsewhere.
Any levy would be counterproductive to our overall goals of creating more homes. We're all aware that the government has a considerable surplus available at the moment, and anything that can be done to stimulate additional homes is most welcome.
And industrial disputes will increase in the coming months if the government doesn't offset the rising cost of living. SIPTU says the coalition must take steps to increase real wages for its workers as inflation hit 6.3% this week. Energy, fuel and social welfare are areas identified by the union where the state could intercede. SIPTU's Adrian Kane says people will soon be forced into action.
I have no doubt that there will be an increase in industrial disputes over the coming months if government is not trying to increase real wages for people, that people will be more and more forced to take action to ensure that they increase their wages directly with their employer.
And weather forecast warm with highs of 24 to 28 degrees Celsius today, possibly higher in some places. Mainly dry with sunny spells. A few scattered showers possible, particularly this afternoon. Light, variable or southerly breezes. That's Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
How are you doing, Liam? Usual, is it? Sea salt? At Visa, we're proud to support small businesses in every community, like Murphy's of Dingle, makers of quality ice cream supplied by Kerry Dairy Farms. When you shop with an independent business, it multiplies to support your community. Where you shop matters. Visa.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 Till Noon show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 Till Noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. It is just turning 4 minutes past 9 on this Friday. It's the 8th of September, isn't it? 2023. You're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 Till Noon show. And as always, we've got plenty to keep you informed and entertained over the next 3 hours. So hopefully you'll stick with us. We kick off, as we always do on a Friday, looking in a bit more detail and behind the headlines of some of the big stories of the day and week. And we do so with a panel. And we've got another panel with us, and it's a cracker as usual. I want to say good morning first to Emer McGuinness, who is manager of the Donegal Mart. Good morning, Emer. How are you keeping?
I'm very good. Greg, how are you?
It's good to have you with us. I'm good. We also have Suzanne Rogers, journalist course director at Northwest Regional College. Suzanne, good morning.
Good morning, and it is a good morning.
Isn't
wow.
it? If you like the weather, for sure. And Seamus McDade, Managing Director of Football Special. As anyone watching will see from the branding, do you sleep in branded gear, get up in branded gear?
Part of the contract, Greg.
It's okay. Well, it's good to have all three of you on board. Might start off with a farming one, and we'll go to you first, Emer, if that's okay. So we learned yesterday that a new limit on nitrates, so nitrogen for farmers, is set to impact 3,000 dairy farmers unless they reduce their herd or acquire more land. This hasn't come out of the blue, but it was sort of announced after a short call, a video call, I understand, between the Minister for Agriculture and his European counterpart. But here we go. So what's your take on this, Emer? What kind of an impact will it have? And of course, where dairy farming is more centralised, it's going to have more of an impact, but we're not going to escape it up here.
No, we won't. What sort of impacts are going to... It's obviously, as you've seen yesterday, and you see the demonstrations that took place and the anger that's out there, it's going to have massive impact on farmers. And it will have an impact on us up here because the way it basically is they either export their slurry, reduce their numbers, or get more land. So at present, what you have is, and what has been happening, dairy farmers, in order to keep within this derogation and keep within their limits, they have been looking for more land, which has driven the cost of land up massively up here. So they have to spread themselves out. And that in itself will be problematic in dealing with this, the new rules and regulations that will be in place. Because if you have some land in a designated zone where you have to decrease and increase, and you have land in another, what category do you fall under? That's one of the problems. There's many problems. I suppose the farming organisations would say that from looking and listening to them over the last day, they were hoodwinked, that they weren't kept up to speed by the department on what exactly this would mean and when it was going to happen. Whereas the minister is stating yesterday that this was a public document, they all knew it was coming. The EPA report that was done initially was damning, and that the water quality had to improve, and that is why that they set up this working organisation for water control. But we're in the situation, we didn't do anything to deal with it in the last year. Who is to blame and who is not to blame? There's loads of reports. What do we do about it? What my views on it would be, this shouldn't be the end of it. We do have to protect our farmers. The minister will have to go back again. I know he says we can't, and I know we do have to deal with the situation. But if it's a case that the farming organisations didn't know this was happening, we have to be allowed the time to try.
Well, that's what some of them are saying. There's some are saying that we've been making inroads here. We are reducing, pollution and what have you.
Reducing.
We can't really determine what is farming pollution versus what is runoff from sewage systems or lack of action from Uisce Éireann. You should have given us a year or so we could actually quantify the impact rather than. But the alternative argument is I suppose that we are one of only 3 countries that get a derogation in this area, and the battle now is to retain the 220. You know what I mean? So in other words,
I don't agree with that. The battle is, we didn't know we had a battle, I suppose, until, was it March this year? This working organisation was set up in June. We have not been allowed, and we have seen it is decreasing. They hope by 2030 that will be down to 20%, whereas it's 46% or something now at the minute. So it is working. It is going to take time, though, and we have to be allowed that time. Greg, it brings me back to the same old story. We have to make all these changes, and that we're trading with countries that are doing absolutely nothing.
And the way in which we do, the argument is that we rear our animals in an environmentally friendly way, that you're not rewarding that because other countries that do it in a very different industrialized way, they're getting off scot-free. So it then starts to say, well, is it really about just reducing the level of farming in this country, because then, of course, people are going to throw in the climate change situation and on top of the farmers' backs.
The farmers are being kicked left, right and centre. And, you know, it seems like the farming organisation, I was actually talking to one of a farm organisation yesterday in relation to another issue that will concern Marks. And they were hoodwinked in that. They were not told about it coming from the department. So it seems that this is the same case as what has happened here. They hadn't been kept up to speed. They hadn't been told what had happened. They were told too late. They have started acting on it, and they need that time. And it's up to our government to get us that time. You can't basically put farmers, it's not just farmers, we have, and if you are going to tell them that they have to lose and reduce their cow numbers, there needs to be something put in place. Basically, what I think they've decided is this is the road they're going to go. We are going to run with this. We have to at some stage. That's the way they look at it. So we're going to do it now, and we're going to see what can happen and get everybody to row in. But you know, they're not really thinking of the farmers behind the scenes.
Yeah, and there's another issue too here is, before we bring the other guests in, it is a consolidation really, because the big guys will probably be able to acquire the land, you know, from those around them, maybe the smaller operators, to retain their herd numbers. So on the face of it, you would say, well, look, at the herd numbers are the same. We told you wouldn't reduce the national herd. But that will not tell the full story of the group of farmers that are going to be legislated out of it, that and all the problems that creates from that, borrowings against what they have, passing it down to other family members, all that type of stuff. So on the face of it, the herd numbers might stay the same, but that will not tell the full story, and history might forget the full story as it tends to.
I think that's basically what, from a lot of what I've seen this morning, that the full story will not be told, that this is not going to correct the problem with our climate problems in this country. That if they see, and the EU sees, that this the water does improve, that they're going to say, well, keep reducing. There's all these things you're facing, and you're not actually correcting. I do agree we need to protect and we need to look after our environment. I have no problem doing that. But when you see that the reports are coming in and that the water quality is improving, like, are the dairy farmers completely to blame? We haven't had time to look at all these things. And I think we need that time, and we're entitled to that time. And that's my view. Yes.
All right. Okay. But these changes are coming in. Is it the first? It's the start of next year, effectively. So, to comply, farmers have to make serious changes seriously, quickly. Suzanne Rogers, there is this sense, I suppose, that, you know, is Ireland going to be a country for agriculture into the future? Have you any views on this?
Well, I wouldn't claim to have any expertise in this area, I have to say, but I did have a look at some of the issues that are involved. And the things that strike me are that exactly what you've said. It's not as though there are vast tracts of land in Donegal suitable for dairy farming that are not being utilised now. So if farmers are having to acquire more land, then obviously the herd numbers are probably going to stay the same. And as you alluded to there, the smaller families, the farm families, are maybe going to be pushed out in that. And that is going to have a huge impact on society and on the traditions, you know, in Donegal, a rural farming county. So exactly, you know, there's the social kind of aspect of that as well. You know, there's the personal aspect that has to be looked at. Look, we all need and want clean water. Everybody is entitled to that. Farmers are not outside of that. That's what they want to. And it strikes me very much that there wasn't enough consultation, that there was a capitulation to this EC or EU directive without talking to the farmers. And farmers are reasonable people by and large. They're normal people trying to make a living, trying to make a life for themselves, and they don't want to do it at the cost of the environment, because most are very strong environmentalists. And it strikes me that we haven't looked at alternatives enough. Now, looking around, and I was looking at New Zealand. Now, I know New Zealand's very different from Ireland, but they had this issue as well. And what they did was they looked at alternative crops, things like clover and corn and that kind of things that are not using high concentrates of nitrates, in order to reduce that dependency on nitrates, nitrogen, that kind of thing. So, my take on this is that put the brakes on, talk to the farmers. They're reasonable people. Consult with them. See what the way forward is. And don't do it in a knee-jerk reaction.
Is it not the case, though, maybe, Suzanne, that might be trying to sort of flex and show a bit of resistance, what have you? But is it, the truth be told, when it comes to matters of fishing and farming, we have no say in it at all whatsoever. We have given all of that control over to Europe.
Well, yes and no. I mean, we still have wriggle room, and okay, they're talking about quotas and things like that, but there are ways to achieve the outcome which the Nitrates Directive has set out. There are ways of achieving that, or getting close to it at least. Not by coming in and saying, you will do this, we're not having that, you're going to have to reduce your herd numbers, or you're going to have to get more land, or you're going to have to do this or that. There are ways of achieving that in cooperation and in consultation. And as I say, farmers, I think for the vast majority of farmers, are environmentalists themselves. They want what's best for the environment. They want clean water. They want sustainability. And it appears to me that there just hasn't been that respect for the farming community.
Well, I can think of a number of situations where water is being damaged by not agriculture, other commercial activities, and we as a state are pumping untreated poo into the sea. Like, it would be cruel to put anyone off their cornflakes, but that's the bottom line. And another thing too, Seamus McDade, what I see is maybe the last generation of really smallhold farmers that kind of just about hung out when the fertilizer prices went through the roof, that make up another very rich tapestry and part of local communities. And I think they're scattered all across the region. And I think they play a very important role. And I think they are part of who we are as well, of course. That's a given. But I really do feel it's that talking to them, they're the last generation. They don't see anything, no agriculture future for their children. I think that's going to be really, really sad. And I think it's going to be felt just on a really personal level in lots of different villages and communities around the country. But of course, our focus is on the Northwest here.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good point you've made, Greg. I mean, I remember when I studied agricultural science in secondary school 15 years ago, you needed something like a 50-acre farm to make a minimum wage. And in the 15 years since I'm out of school, I'm sure that is a much higher number now. The reality is the small family farm is going to become extinct in this country. And the government have made a policy decision that they are quite happy for that to happen. So while all these things, Emer has said it well, all these different policies that they've brought in have all been just a slow, another cut to farmers, another thing to make it harder to farm. And I think as a society, we needed to have a conversation about, well, what societal benefit do small family farms have, and what the ecology of, I mean, we could go back before you continue. We could go back to the time of the pandemic. All of a sudden, farmers were the heroes, and farmers had this solution, and farmers had that solution, and farmers can do this, and all the other stuff that's lumped on farmers' backs was forgotten because we can do this. And now here we are back again. You know, that moment has passed, and now it's about the climate, it's the farmers, it's about the water quality, it's the farmers, it's about the treatment of the animals, it's the farmers, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a real, real issue in government policy between farming and sort of what becomes of export. So there's lots of government ministers who like to talk about how we're the biggest exporter of baby food in the world, but don't like to acknowledge that there's some dairy farm that has to go into the baby food. There's an ad, there's a commercial into this segment about Murphy's ice cream in Dingle using Kerry milk, but not acknowledging that there's dairy farm and has to go into that. There'll be loads of ministers that want to come to Killigordan to cut cords, to cut ribbons if there was a new bottling facility going into Donegal Creameries, but no acknowledgement that then there has to be cows out in the field to create the milk, to create that. So yeah, we have as a country, we're good at dairy farming, and unfortunately, the EU has decided there's not going to be dairy farming in the European Union anymore. Now, if you told French farmers there wasn't going to be grape growing anymore, there would be a much bigger revolt. But as you said, as you said, Greg, we just take verbatim what the European Union says to us, and there's no resistance there.
Yeah, and I mean, all of this for all the right reasons, people would argue, but we're going to find ourselves in a situation, Emer, finally to you, where we don't really know precisely what is actually polluting the water. Are we going to start from an environmental perspective, importing more milk, importing more meat? I mean, rather than creating it in a sustainable way locally. I mean, no one has successfully explained all that to me, and I'm a logical thinker, and I'll go along with it and I'll buy things.
Well, they haven't explained it to you, Greg, because they haven't actually gone into depth and tackled the problem yet. They've only just made a start to it. And that's why that process has to be allowed to develop. And as you say, who is polluting the water? Is it the dairy farmers? I'm sure that, yes, they are part of the problem, but I do not accept that they're fully. And, we're talking about dairy farmers there, and we mightn't have too many of them up here. From Mart's point of view, and we have a Mart's organisation where all the Marts in the country meet. And we had a meeting less than a few weeks ago. And there is we have already seen the decline in sheep farmers and suckler farmers throughout the country. It is huge, and it's coming really fast now. And from dealing with a lot of them problems, and that's our role as Marts, obviously to stay in business, we have to look at all the problems. It's coming so fast, and it's the cost of everything. It's the red tape for a start, but we've always had red tape. It's all these different schemes, what you have to do to get into these schemes. It's so much harder to draw down on the grants that the government now, you have to test for this and test for that. And it all seems to be in order to say that the EU require them and all these different markets require them. But sometimes it seems like it's just to keep people in jobs here. And it's impossible to fill out a form now without taking to somebody to get it filled out.
Yeah, okay.
And the costs of feed, everything has drastically increased.
Yeah, and then sometimes you just wonder, and it's very not just sad. In this area, is there a policy of we'll try and ask for forgiveness rather than permission, and that permission being consultation? Okay, back with more from our guests after this quick break.
The 9 Till Noon show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
Autumn is here, and so are the new arrivals at Green Shoes. Shop in store or online now from top brands like Doc Martens, Kate Appleby, Tommy Bow and Riker. Also New Balance, Wonders, Echo and many more. Shop LK and one for all gift cards accepted in store. Visit Green Shoes and discover the perfect footwear to complement your style. Green Shoes at Market Square, Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara and online at greenshoes.com.
Anurig Rekdalamer na Coraja Airaja in a Togger Sonarif, Turami on Niasmona da had Mila dinner on Bubble, Yalsharavari, August a Queenie Sonar on Pobble, August Yonach. Tara Tort Kura Rish the Queenie, Iraq Hunas Gurfederling, Tauki Invunia Audihu. Tar Geshnor Erlina Eroskelt, August Tog for the Fragarishan Sonarif in our Bland Lanona Kuniev Don Airaj. Kurdig, Coraja Airaja, Fehis of 3, August Lean or Surveyor Lina, Konda Horami Coranul. Toka Hoot o Realtus na Heron.
New this week at Home Store and More. All bar stools and chairs are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price bar stools and chairs are gone, they're gone. Also, all metal kitchen bins and all painting and DIY accessories are still all half price. But when all the half price metal kitchen bins and all the half price painting and DIY accessories are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Homeowners, it's time to unlock incredible savings on your energy bills. Efficient Renewables is here to reduce your energy consumption, say goodbye to skyrocketing costs and hello to renewable energy solutions. With no VAT on solar panels and the generous grants for both solar panels and heat pumps, see these innovative systems in action in our state-of-the-art showroom in Newton Cunningham today. Contact Efficient Renewables on 074 97 08320.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
OK, it's 24 minutes past 9 now. We heard that the government is to review speed limits. Now, we don't know how that's going to work. We don't know how long it's going to take. It might be 2025. We don't know the logistics of it and what roads may actually see a decrease or not. But generally speaking, 100 down to 80, 80 down to 60. Now, I think we all know some roads that have an 80 kilometres sign on them and you wonder what's going on there. Of course, then the councils will be able to vary them up or down as they can now, but this will set a new baseline. I'll go to you first, if that's okay. Suzanne Rogers, a journalism course director at Northwest Regional College. Do you think this is an area that requires focus? Do you think it will make a difference? And ultimately, of course, what we all want is to reduce as much as possible the carnage on our roads.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We're looking at 127 deaths this year so far, and we're only in September, 23 more than all of last year. So yes, obviously speed limit is one of the things, but I think there needs to be a holistic approach to this. It's not just about that. If you drill down a little bit into those stats, the people under 35 account for a third of all deaths. And that leads me to think, okay, well, when did you get your driver's license? And there's a huge discrepancy between where you sit your test and your chances of passing right across Ireland. And you would expect that there would be a difference of maybe 1 or 2%, given on local conditions and that sort of thing. But actually the difference is between 72% and 49%. If you sit your test in Sligo, you're 72% chance of passing, and if you sit your test in Finglas in Dublin, it's 49%. There's something wrong there. There is a lack of consistency, and I would be kind of saying we need to come back. Speed is definitely one thing, but with speed becomes education. Drivers need to be educated as to what effect does it have if you're driving too fast, if somebody has decided in an area that this is the speed limit. And we all know that if you're going a little bit slower, you have more time to react, you can see things better, you can see potential dangers and all of that. So I think definitely speed limits are one thing, and I know when the government launched our Journey Towards Vision Zero strategy 2 years ago, speed was one of the things that they looked at. Also drivers driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and getting penalty points put on people's licenses as quickly as possible. Those were the 3 areas that they identified as immediately having an impact. That was 2 years ago. Doesn't seem to have had a huge impact if we look at the figures that we have today. But
Suzanne, would it not make more sense? Because the problem we have at the moment is we don't enforce the laws that we have, be it the speeding, be it modified cars, lowered vehicles that aren't suitable for multiple occupancy, tinted windows that restrict people's views, the use of mobile phones and all that type of stuff. I mean, why not triple the points? Why not triple the points so that you get caught speeding twice, you're off the road for 6 months? Triple the fine. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't mean we have to change every road sign in the country. That's why I don't know. Why would they not look at those things? Because we know penalty points and fines prove things. Why are we going for this review of 100,000 foot of road? I'm not opposed to it, but I'm struggling to see the logic in it, because we've got tools there that we're not actually employing at the moment, and then we're looking at another solution without actually enforcing the solution that exists.
The two things, I think, go hand in hand, because if you're reducing the speed limit, then obviously you're going to catch more people driving over the speed limit if the speed limit has been reduced. And then the penalty points and the fines and everything else come in at that time. It seems like a huge piece of work to review and change the speed limit across the country, but we have to do something because people are losing their lives. So we have to do something. And my point would be that the government needs to be more ambitious in what it's doing. It's identified 3 key areas. Yes, fine. But let's go beyond that. Let's look at the condition of roads as well. Are there roads that need calming measures on them? Are there roads that are in such poor condition or where the camber of the road has eroded?
No, well, we can't. We know those areas. We know those areas, and we actually can't get calming measures on them because there's at least 7 or 8 absolute treacherous spots around the county that the locals are screaming out for signage, rumble strips, traffic islands, whatever it might take, and that's not happening. We're not cleaning the drains, so there's water all over the roads. The roads are full of potholes. The hedges are hanging out into the middle of the roads. We're not doing that. So I appreciate exactly what you're saying, Suzanne, that we do need a holistic approach, but we're not going to get a holistic approach. We're just going to get more. We're going to get more traffic signs that look different to the ones that were there before.
Yeah, but that's part of the approach, and that's what I'm saying. This is just one aspect of it, and I suppose from if I'm being cynical about it, it looks like something's being done if the traffic, if there are traffic restrictions imposed, if the speed limit is coming down.
That's depressing, though, isn't it?
Sorry, say
That's
again?
depressing.
It's more depressing to look at the number of people who've lost their lives on the road.
But it's a way of a responsibility, though, Suzanne. I'm not being argumentative. It's to tease the conversation out, and I value your opinion so much as to why I'm doing it. But will it have that effect? Because that is ultimately what we all want. There's not a person that wasn't touched to the core by the awful tragedies of late. And I want to make sure that it's fully analysed that these type of measures will do that. Because if we're not sure it will, then we're going to have more lives lost. And we all want the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure I follow that, but I mean, my thinking is if you're reducing the speed limit on a road from 50 to 30, you're going to catch more people doing over 30 miles an hour. And let's face it, all of us, and I would say probably older drivers come into this. We all think we're good drivers. We all think we're safe drivers, and we all think that the rules apply to other people and not us. So if you're reducing the speed limit on a stretch of road from 50 down to 30, you're going to catch more people who are going to have penalty points. And even now, it doesn't take too long to come within the danger zone. You know, a couple of times being caught speeding and you're starting to nudge close to that danger zone. And also the fines and everything like that as well. So I do think that it would have an impact because you're going to be catching more people.
Well, respectfully, though, we see the problem is we're not enforcing the current speed limits. That was the point I was trying to make. If you really want to do something,
thing, isn't it?
Like say, for instance, put one camera, and people won't like this, put one camera at Donegal Road, put one camera heading into Donegal Town, and punish people if they. You can time how long that would take. That's technology that we already have, and you could determine if people were speeding on that stretch. Though of course people might be turning off. I'll come back to you, Suzanne. And I think most people would agree with you. I agree with much of what you're saying, but if we're not enforcing 50, are we going to enforce 30? So will we catch more people? And then will we save lives? That's the kind of the point I was trying to get at there. Seamus McDade, will you come in on this one for us as well, please?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you twice this morning, Greg.
I don't like that. Right, but Emer. No, I'm only joking. Go ahead.
Yeah, listen, I think Suzanne spoke very well. It's like she is 100% right. Everybody on this conversation in the whole country would like there to be zero road deaths in the country. So we should all be trying to get to the point where there's nobody killed on the roads. But reducing the speed limits will just result in more people getting penalty points, not less people speeding. Because there is, the minister has said that this consultation is going on for 2 years. So if he knew 12 months or 18 months ago that this was the solution, why hasn't he reduced the speed limits already? And if he knows now it's the solution, why is he not doing it tomorrow? Why are we waiting until the second half of 2025 to bring this in? Like, if this is the solution, then do it. I think it is all about enforcement. I would be completely in support of trebling penalty points temporarily for the next 6 months to try and get a handle on this. But there are other ways, and this is just sort of a cheap soundbite that the minister threw out there, that the consultation process isn't even complete yet. So he's obviously just decided, I need to get some good PR because it's been a horrible year on the roads, which is it's terribly sad for all the people who involved. And obviously in this county, we know better than most how harrowing it is. But it doesn't mean that this is going to be the solution. And it requires some more nuanced thought around it and some enforcement.
Is it, and I don't want to sound cynical and because it's such a serious issue, is it just a happy coincidence that this will have a dramatic effect on our climate damaging outputs?
I mean, that was talk. I know that I mean, Eamon Ryan has talked that for a long time about trying to slow it down, and I think they came back and said that wouldn't actually have an impact because people.
Well, he's sure that you drop speeds by 10-20%, you drastically reduce the amount of dangerous fuels and our reliance, of course, on these fuels. But that's a coincidence.
I don't know these statistics, so but you'd have to assume as well. There's more people on the road. I mean, deaths are up on last year, but we probably want to look at numbers pre-COVID. And also we are sort of at 100% employment, so the roads are busy. You probably need to see the traffic data versus deaths as well. These are all things that the minister would have access to. So again, if he thinks this is the way to do it, why are we not doing it in the morning? Why are we still talking about this? Do it right now. But if he doesn't really believe it, then you just release the statement now and you do it.
I mean, we do know as well in a crisis situation, we can work on legislation really very quickly. It can be passed in the same day or overnight. So pushing this out to 2025, and you're guessing because they don't know if it's going to be in place by 2025, is not an immediate response to a crisis. Emer, what's your views on this?
I don't agree with it because I don't think it's going to fix the problem per se. Like, I'm driving 20-something years, and yet my car was wrote off once this year and nearly wrote off again the other day. It's just somebody crossed the white line, came straight at me. And only I left the road, and that's happening. So what is causing that to happen? I think it's mobile phones more so than speed. I think these cameras that they're going to install will be just sitting outside every town and village throughout Ireland, and there'll be easy tickets for people to get. I'd love, and I have no problem with them if they're going to fix the problem of road deaths, but I don't believe they are, because I don't always believe that speed is the problem. I think things that's going on in cars, maybe people preoccupied with all the stress they have going on. You always see at Christmas time, if you ever notice, when women are stressed out shopping, there's all these accidents in car parks. They're flying about and running about. And I think people's lives have got maybe that busy, maybe it's tiredness. There's all these stresses that people are under, and mobile phones is more at fault than putting up more road signs.
There's a Go Safe van that's infrequently outside a school in South Donegal, and I don't mind it being there. If you get caught by it, you're going too fast, so it clocks you to make sure you're not doing over 50 past the school. We'll put a camera there all the time. If that's what it takes to make sure a student, and not everyone would agree with that, but I mean, if we're really serious about it, don't have it there infrequently. Let's do something that sorts this out on a long-term basis. And finally, to you, Suzanne, on this one, I think communication is often where I think sometimes governments let themselves down, and if they articulated it like you did, where they talked about, the various things that need to be done and articulated it the way you did, I think people might come along with it a little bit more than they are, because the way it is being articulated, it's like it's the silver bullet, but then again, the public kind of know that it's probably not, you see. So they need someone like you articulating.
As I started off saying, it needs a holistic approach. I do think that if people are getting penalty points, it would certainly make them stop and think. And I'll out myself now and say I have had penalty points in the past on a certain stretch of road in Derry, which is known as being a bit of a cash cow, because everybody gets caught there because you come off a fast road onto a slow road, and they've been roused about it. And it certainly concentrated me and my thinking to say, okay, you got to slow down here on this part. But I also think there's something else there that we haven't really touched on, it, and Seamus sort of referred to it there, the number of cars on the road. If we want our roads to be safer, reducing the number of cars would certainly help with that. So where's the rural transport system? Where's the rail system? Where are the frequent and convenient buses? All of those sorts of things. If we are serious about saving lives, reducing the number of road accidents, road deaths, and of course we talk about road deaths, but as Emer said there, she was nearly had her car written off because of somebody who was crossed the line. I had a similar experience, as it just so happens, yesterday as well. So if we're reducing the number of cars on the road, that's obviously going to have a positive as well. But I don't think there is one silver bullet that solves it all. I think the government needs to look in the round at what can be done, and various changes will bring about an improvement in the situation and move towards that zero that they're looking for. I don't think we'll ever get to zero, obviously not, but we need to get down below.
All that being said,
looking at.
by the time these new speed limits come out, every Tesla driver in Ireland will actually have the ability to drive on full autopilot, which has been working incredibly successfully in America. That's not being factored in either. How many of us in 10 years' time will be physically driving the vehicle? And that's not pie in the sky. Quite literally, Tesla drivers in America are being driven around by their cars. Right, okay, back with more on the next topic from our guests, who I'll introduce again, by the way, for those switching in. We've got Emer McGuinness, manager of the Donegal Mart, Suzanne Rogers, a journalist course director at Northwest Regional College, and Seamus McDade, managing director of Football Special.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 Till Noon show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
Curtains at Foy & Company, Letterkenny. Complete any room with our elegant and exquisite range of curtains designed to elevate your windows with sheer beauty. Whether you prefer classic patterns or contemporary designs, our curtain collection offers endless possibilities to complement your interior decor. Let our expert staff assist you in creating the living space you've always dreamed of. Call in and get a free interior design consultation this month at Foy & Company, Letterkenny.
To help with the cost of heating your home during the winter months, the fuel allowance scheme will be paid from the week beginning September 25th. This allowance is paid at a rate of €33 a week for 28 weeks. To find out more and check your eligibility, visit gov.ie/fuel allowance. The quickest and easiest way to apply is online at mywelfare.ie. One payment per household. A Government of Ireland initiative. Brought to you by the Department of Social Protection.
Book a private VIP screening at Century Cinemas. Perfect for celebrating birthdays and special occasions. Featuring a private VIP screening with luxury reclining seats, delicious popcorn and a brilliant choice of movies. For further information on our VIP packages, call Century Complex Letterkenny on 07491 21976 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
A caller says these speed vans sit just outside the 50-kilometre, an easy catch. They need to sit on the dual carriageway, the road between Manor and Newtown. Cars overtake on these roads doing 120 to 140 kilometres per hour. That's where the speed and danger is, not in and around towns and villages. And the new 4 lanes coming into Letterkenny, the speed limit there is 50. No one does 50. But the guards did a blitz there about, I don't know how long ago it was now. And I think they did about 20 drivers or something along those lines. And for about 10 days afterwards, everyone was driving at 50. But now, again, everyone's back flying up that road. Right, okay, one of the big issues we've been covering over the last couple of weeks, and it's a complex one. It's the issue with young people getting access to CAMHS services, mental health services. Long delays. Really, it's all down to posts being vacant. Disability Network Services have sent letters out to parents right across Donegal, saying that people have to be prioritised, that there aren't the experts available to deal with children, and parents are very sad, very upset, of course, because they're seeing, in many cases, their children not being brought forward, or in some cases regressing, and it's an awful stress and anxiety for the children and for the families involved. It's been described as a crisis and a recruitment crisis as well, as some might see it. But Emer, if I could start with you on this one, Emer McGuinness, this is just one of those areas that they have to come up with a solution on. It's completely unacceptable, and there's no end in sight. It looks like it might get worse before it gets better, and it's right across the region, and I'm sure there are pockets around the country experiencing the same as well.
But it shouldn't be. You know, I'll go back to when my child was, this was about 15 years ago, and I did need them services, and they were there, and I got more than enough help. So what has happened in that time, and what has happened to society in that time, that we've come to this stage, that they're not readily available. And, you know, for them parents that have children, they have enough to deal with on a daily basis and enough stresses that them services should be readily available. So if they are saying that they haven't got the staff in place, why haven't they? I do understand when people qualify, they probably want to go to the bigger hospitals, maybe further afield, to gain more experience, to obviously hike up their CVs and get better jobs. And if that's the case, I don't see it as a crisis, because I see it as something like, we can't fix road deaths because we don't know where the problem is. We can't fix the problem with our water quality because we have to find exactly but we can fix this crisis straight away if we want to. If qualified people in these areas need to be paid a hell of a lot more money to get them into these areas, that is something we can do straight away. And
in our digging into this, Emer, what we did find is that you will struggle to find the vacancies that are available in Donegal. If you Google speech therapist vacancies Donegal, you will struggle to find them. There's a very narrow window where they create a panel in February, but they don't hire then, it's almost on an annual basis, so they don't hire in between these panels. They're not actively going into courses in Northern Ireland, for an example, and saying, come work with us, this is what we can offer you. We have people who
it's not a crisis. It's something that the HSE, that our government can fix straight away if they want, but they are choosing not to do so. So the pressure really, so if it's a crisis, and we really need to get behind this, and it should be all over the media, and it's our ministers and TVs that need to be told to go and act and get these places filled. And it could be done tomorrow if they really, the want was there. And that's what the aggravating thing is. It's not like the other. We do have loads of problems we can't fix straight away, but this can be solved if they want, and the drive was there to do it. And you can only feel for them families. It must be extremely irritating, and it's something they can't fix. And this is where government, and this is what our government. People do often say, "What are our politicians, councillors, and what are they, and what is their roles?" And this is their role, to look after the people in their counties and their constituencies, and do whatever they need to do to make their lives easier. Mm-hmm. And this is something that can be done in Donegal, and we should really be putting the pressure on our politicians. That's my view.
Yeah, both government and opposition, because there's no politician, whether they're in government or not, that is not actually running this with this issue. And Suzanne Rogers, I mean, and please talk generally as well. There are just thousands of families, individual families scattered around the place that are dealing with this on a daily basis. They're not united, or there's not a united voice, and it's difficult to get united in that way. And sometimes you wonder, surely it's not down to the fact that we know the problem's there, but because it's not really a noisy problem, we don't really have to address it. I would hate to think if that was the situation, but sure, talk to that and the issue more generally, Suzanne, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably an aspect of it, because if you're a parent of a child who needs these kinds of support systems, you're probably very, very busy. Your day is probably full in trying to support your child. And where's the time there to become an activist or to be part of an organisation that are speaking out on behalf of those parents and those children who are being neglected, let's face it, neglected like that. Like you, I did a little search to see about speech and language therapists in Donegal, and I couldn't find any vacancies either. So you've given me the explanation as to why that's there. What kind of occurs to me is we know that where people go to university, where people go for their training, they tend to settle there. And speech and language throughout Ireland is taught in Galway, Limerick, Cork, Trinity College and Dublin Institute or Dundalk Institute of Technology. And my question is, what's ATU doing? If you have
I have a doozy for you here.
Go on.
There are actually students who are studying speech and language in the ATU in Letterkenny, but they are for positions in a different county.
Yeah. You know, what's happening there? That shouldn't be happening. People should be encouraged to stay in Donegal and to take up positions in Donegal. And we know that, and I know it from my own children, they've tended to settle where they went to university. That's where they went to. So I think there's that. I think we also need to look at other strategy. I'm interested in CAMS as well, the mental health services for young people. And it has been proven across the water that if you intervene at an early stage, then you can sort out problems before young people get to be adults, and that the problems become much more complex. Gordon Brown, when he was Prime Minister, introduced the IAP program in England, and he said you do not have to be a fully qualified clinical psychologist in order to offer help to someone who needs that kind of early talking therapy. You can be an associate psychologist, and that's what he did. And he trained associate psychologists on their way to becoming clinical, and they were able to deal with that. And what it found was that 50% of the young people who were seen, didn't need any other help. They were seen, their issues were dealt with at a very early stage, and they didn't need to continue on, and they didn't become part of the adult mental health service then. So, you know, there are those things there that can be sorted out. Yes, parents probably need to be vocal. They shouldn't have to be. And I'm sure they don't have the time in their days to do that. But this is something that needs to be looked at, because all it's doing is it's storing up problems for down the line. And if you have a young person who needs speech and language therapy, what are the odds of them ending up in the CAMS situation a few years down the road? Pretty high, I would have thought.
All right. And there's I'm very curious, and I must dig into this to see if agency staff or, panel replacement staff, or what the phraseology is, if they can be appointed to vacant posts. Because I know in teaching they can't, and that's crazy. So teachers can't bring in temp staff to cover vacant posts. Can you believe that? So I hope it's not the case in this area.
If somebody is qualified for a job, if somebody is qualified in a particular area, then there should be absolutely no reason why they can't be temporarily moved in.
But you can't in teaching, and I wonder if it's the same here, you can't bring temporary staff to cover a vacant post. Yes, maternity leave or whatever it might be, or illness. And I just want to recap on one thing that Suzanne Rogers said. Now, just to recap, Suzanne Rogers is a journalism course director, okay, and an excellent journalist and has amazing search and research skills. Now, pretend Suzanne Rogers is a language therapist, speech therapist. Suzanne tried to find a vacancy for a speech therapist in Donegal and was unable to do so. Now, we are told by the HSE that they are really trying to work at this fast. They're looking at different ways to do it. But someone who has the skill set to find a position in doing so before this was unable to find that position. So how quickly would you be discouraged and go, well, I'll search Sligo or Mayo or Cork or Galway or wherever it might be? And it's not just that, it's OT in other areas as well. Seamus McDade, Managing Director of Football Special.
Yeah, Greg, this is just a complete dereliction of duty from our public officials. You know, we are saying that we're criticising politicians when they go to the European Union and not standing up for Ireland's interests. Well, I would criticise Donegal politicians not standing up for Donegal's interests. We have a problem in the county here. You have very succinctly showed that the issue is not even being resolved, not even being addressed, because they're not even hiring people. So what are you doing about it? So if you are elected officials, if you're a councillor, if you're a TD, if you work for the HSE, if you work for the civil service, and you're representing Donegal, you are letting these parents down in this role. And it shouldn't take people to take to the streets. Does this suddenly have to become France, where we're all Mario Jean's going out and protesting over every issue that arises? That's why we have elected officials. Go and solve the crisis. I mean, Emer has said it. This crisis can be solved. You and Susanna both tried to find. You've both done your research. The roles are not available. It's simple, but they're not doing it.
They're there, but you can't find them. You can't find them. And then they'll assemble a panel in February, and then no one will know what's happening, and then it'll be another year before these jobs are filled.
Yeah, so there's no interest then from them to solve the crisis, it's crisis after crisis. The state have not kept up with the infrastructure of the state as the state has grown. That is their mistake, and that's everybody. And if you're an opposition councillor, an opposition TD, it's the same thing. You're also letting the people go down. So go and do something about it. All
right, Seamus McDade, Managing Director of Football Special. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Have a great weekend. It's been great having you on the programme, as it has you, Sinead Rogers, Journalism Course Director at Northwest Regional College. Thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
And last but certainly not least, Emer McGuinness. Have a great weekend. Thanks, as always. It's always good to have your views, and look after yourself.
You too, Greg. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Okay, take care. Right, that was our Friday panel. Thank you for texting in. Keep the calls and texts coming in. We'll get to some of those after we take a break for the news and obituary notices.
The 9 Till Noon show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
An ceannahar céad orthú nó duine atá géirí tús óra dhéanamh ach nach féidir morgas le álainn manc. Déiteach ísach tíochta an údaráis áitiúil carúlaat. Tá sé fáil fud le tíre agus ligann siad de iritasóirí ilchálathe ísach sús le nócha faoin géad luach marg a réad faoine á. Bunathe an siamh. I'm sic bailith féin chuirmuid an ísach fáil. Tuile ólas fáil ag localauthorityhomeloan.ie. Tionscanamh de chuid rialtas na hÉireann.
Sale, 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 with over €150,000 of reductions across all used stock. This is not to be missed. Test drive any car at iMotors and enter a draw to win €1,000 cash. Yes, €1,000 cash to take a test drive. Ends September 16th. When you buy, choose one of the following offers: 12 months tax, free ceramic coating, 24 months warranty, or your first finance payment covered by us. Low finance rates available. Check our website for all T's and C's. You will not want to miss out. Visit imotors.ie for more details.
House to Home Bridgend, Donegal. Our modest front door opens onto 2 floors of Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining and occasional furniture. Step into our showroom and see how we can transform your house into a home. House to Home furniture, flooring, slide robes and interiors, Bridgend, Donegal.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
The 9 Till Noon show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
If it's time to change your oven or hob, at Ben Swinney Euronics we have great value packages available right now, like the Zanussi oven and hob pack for just $4.99. We also have great value in double ovens, integrated fridge freezers, dishwashers and range cookers, with the delivery and installation service available. And we have great deals in kitchen appliances like air fryers, coffee machines, juicers and food mixers. Call in and see us at Ben Swinney Euronics in Letterkenny or Dunlow.
Congratulations to everyone who received a CAO offer to study in Atlantic Technological University. Your journey starts now. We've got all the information you'll need to get started at atu.ie/offers. If you didn't get an offer for ATU but are interested in studying a CAO course with us in September, don't worry. Some courses are still open for applications. Just go to atu.ie/available places to find out more. ATU, your future is here.
Have I got news for you? The Harvey's Point Cabaret is back. Every Wednesday in September and October, Eamon has gathered a galaxy of stars to captivate and entertain. A scrumptious dinner, fabulous entertainment, or a 2-night accommodation package. Harvey's Point Cabaret 074 972 2208 for an immediate reservation or harveyspoint.com.
Hip and knee pain can be debilitating. That's why at Kingsbridge Private Hospital, our orthopaedic surgeons offer a range of hip and knee surgeries and are ready to help get you back to doing what you love fast. Why wait? Find out more about our health insurance partners and cross-border healthcare options at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com today.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who has the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, approaching 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The Agriculture Minister says his door is always open to farm groups who want to discuss issues affecting the industry. It follows a large picket outside the Department of Agriculture yesterday, where a meeting was scheduled to take place to discuss new nitrogen limits for dairy farmers. 4 of the 5 farm groups invited to the meeting by the Minister to discuss the changes boycotted it. They instead joined an IFA-led protest outside Agriculture House. Minister Charlie McConalogue says he'll continue to invite farm groups to discuss the matter.
Always open to all farm organisations, and I work very collaboratively with them, and we'll continue to do that because it's important we work together, and particularly important we work together to maintain this derogation. It's up for negotiation again in 2 years' time. Maintaining it at the 220, which is where we're now going to have to move to, is critical to our farming system, and I'll work with farmers to support them in every way possible.
On today's 9 Till Noon show, Donegal businessman Brendan McDade suggested the very future of the small farm is under threat. He said there needs to be a discussion on the importance of the family farm to Irish society.
When I studied agricultural science in secondary school 15 years ago, you needed something like a 50-acre farm to make a minimum wage. I'm sure that is a much higher number now. The reality is the small family farm is going to become extinct in this country, and the government have made a policy decision that they are quite happy for that to happen. All these different policies that they've brought in have all been just another cut to farmers, another thing to make it harder to farm. I think as a society, we needed to have a conversation about what societal benefit do small family farms have.
National Broadband Ireland have announced that engineering works for almost 1,200 Donegal premises in the Ballyshannon deployment area are now complete. This includes the rural communities of Bundoran, Woodvale and Cliff. There are approximately 33,000 premises in the Donegal intervention area, including homes, farms, commercial businesses and schools, with NBI reporting significant progress. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
In their latest statement, National Broadband Ireland says their crews have made substantial progress near Ballyshannon, where 1,187 Donegal premises included in the Ballyshannon development area have recently completed engineering surveying work. There are now over 5,900 homes, businesses and farms in County Donegal that can order broadband. NBI Chief Executive Peter Hendricks says the rollout of broadband connection points is also key to delivering the access to high-speed internet in the intervention area, and recent sites to be connected include places like Glenveigh National Park, Arclangudor and Minria Hostel. He added the list of premises ready to connect in rural area includes over 2,700 premises in Creasla and over 3,200 in Letterkenny.
The SDLP leader Colm Eastwood says there is nothing to be gained from attacking police officers. The Foyle MP was speaking after police were attacked during a search operation in the Cregan area of Derry last evening. They were attacked with petrol bombs, rocks, masonry and other objects. A quantity of cash, a gun, ammunition and a number of suspected pipe bombs were seized. Mr Eastwood says the young people involved were only putting themselves and their futures in jeopardy. The government is being warned that taxation of construction materials is counterproductive during the current accommodation crisis. The Society of Chartered Surveyors in Ireland is opposing the 5% defective concrete products levy, saying it hinders development at a time when construction costs are soaring. It was introduced following the publication of a revised redress scheme for those impacted by defective blocks in Donegal and elsewhere. The SCSI's Kevin Hollingsworth says the state could be making up the deficit in other ways.
Any levy would be counterproductive to our overall goals of creating more homes. We're all aware that the government has a considerable surplus available at the moment, and anything that can be done to stimulate additional homes is most welcome.
SSE Airtricity has become the latest energy company to announce price cuts. A 12% cut in electricity rates and a 10% cut on gas rates comes into effect for household consumers from the 1st of November. It follows a similar announcement by Electric Ireland yesterday and by Energia and Pinergy in recent weeks. Industrial disputes will increase in the coming months if the government doesn't offset the rising cost of living. SIPTU says the coalition must take steps to increase real wages for its workers as inflation reached 6.3% this week. Energy, fuel and social welfare are areas identified by the union where the state could intercede. SIPTU's Adrian Kane says people will soon be forced into action.
I have no doubt that there will be an increase in industrial disputes over the coming months if government is not trying to increase real wages for people, that people will be more and more forced to take action to ensure that they increase their wages directly with their employer.
And looking at the weather forecast for today, Friday, Met Éireann tell us it'll be very warm with highs of 24 to 28 degrees Celsius, possibly higher in a few places. Mainly dry with sunny spells today. A few scattered thunderstorms may develop, particularly this afternoon. Light, variable or southerly breezes. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, have a very good morning. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, the 8th of September. The death has taken place of Margot O'Dowd, née Kelly, 14 Nancy's Lane, Strabane, reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in Sacred Heart Church, Derry Road at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the Alzheimer's Society, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Kevin Boylan Sr., 28 Sylvan Park, Letterkenny. Kevin will repose at his late residence from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. today. Funeral from there at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, going to All Saints Church, Newton Cunningham for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The Mass can be viewed on newtownkillayparish.com. Family time, please, before the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Sheephaven Search and Recovery, care of any family member, or Kelly's Funeral Directors. And the death has taken place of John Clifford, 40A, Greenan Drive, Belmont, Shantallow, Derry. Funeral from there this morning at 10:20 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Bridget's Church, Carnhill, followed by interment in the city cemetery. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Join Disney Plus with our biggest offer ever for only $1.99 per month for 3 months.
Watch this!
Blast into the latest blockbusters with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
The galaxy still needs its Guardians.
Pixar's Elemental.
Elements don't mix.
And exclusive series like Welcome to Wrexham.
It's just like nothing else.
For a limited time only, $1.99 per month for 3 months. Think you know Disney Plus? Think again. Offer ends September 20th. Must be 18 plus without an active Disney Plus subscription. After 3 months, auto renews at then current monthly premium price of $10.99 until cancelled.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 Till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back to the second hour of this Friday show. I hope you're all very well today. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for texting in and calling in, and some of your comments now here. A member of your panel referred to the IAPT service in the UK. Just to clarify, those services are not for children. They provide a service for those aged 16 and over. A caller says, what about the shocking amount of drunk drivers in Ireland, especially in certain rural areas of Donegal? If we continue to turn a blind eye to the blind drunk on our roads, the carnage will continue. It seems in this country, private profit trumps public health and safety. And drug driving, obviously, also a significant issue here. Greg, cutting speed limits may help a little, but I think some people's mentality needs to change too. I witnessed 2 young male drivers jump into their cars yesterday evening and started to race each other on a long stretch of road. But what horrified me more was that one young fella had a wee boy of about 5 or 6 in the front seat of the car. No seatbelt. How do you deal with these sort of drivers? Speed restrictions will not work without enforcement, and I mean proper enforcement, says this listener. No exclusions, no 2-tier systems, no preferential treatment for certain groups as in the past in Ireland, i.e. the 3 Ps. Only then will the public take this seriously. Good morning, Greg. Big push about speed limits, yet suicide rates are 3 times higher than road deaths, and how much is spent on mental health? The RSA was set up to cut road deaths. They obviously didn't do their job. Let's all go slower and pollute the air. More net zero, only when it suits. The last few tragedies, 3 or 4, were weather-related and surface-related, and on a tragic collision in an estate, it wasn't speed. Just to let you know, we take the issue of mental health and suicide very seriously here. We're going to be talking about that a little later on. And in terms of dealing with the awful situation of suicide, the coroners, and we've covered this a couple of times on the show, are working to a system whereby we actually know the full extent of the situation. And I think when we know that, and it might be even quite more stark than the figures that you quoted there, hopefully then something can be done to address that awful situation. Greg, read the road deaths. We need to stop covering up non-fatal collisions every other weekend on our roads. How is that teaching the young drivers a lesson when their weekend antics are cleared up by mummy and daddy and the driver's not penalised or banned from driving? Too much of that going on, truth be told. Why can't cars be restricted on a 100-kilometre speed limit? There's no need for anyone to be travelling any faster. I'm not sure about the speed limiter. I'm just thinking of a scenario whereby, say, you have a lorry that's limited to 80, and someone goes to overtake that lorry and something happens and they don't have that extra speed. I don't know. That's one scenario where I wonder. And also, it probably wouldn't be very hard to circumnavigate it either. Greg, I think the new speed limits need to be converted into miles, as not everyone has kilometres on their cars. How are we meant to know what speed to drive? Well, you can perhaps work it out. Most new cars, all new cars, are either in kilometres or can be switched to kilometres. Older cars, imports perhaps may have the miles per hour on them, but as I say, 50s, 30 and so on and so forth. I think a mile's 5/8 of a kilometre or vice versa. Hi, Greg. A quarter of all road deaths are people not wearing seatbelts. Why is speed the only area the government are looking at? Answer: they believe more money from speed cameras catching fish in a bowl. But the money from speed cameras is not great. It's not like the GoSafe are profitable. They're contracted by the Gardaí, but it's not like it's a massive money-making enterprise. I have no doubt that Gardaí are interested in not money, because you'll know the issues the guards have, but actually in reducing deaths on the roads. And I would listen to them as well too. And I would say my opinion would be formed more particularly by speaking to those that have to visit these scenes, that do the investigations, that have to inform families. I mean, that's a voice I'd be really interested in hearing in this whole conversation. Excellent talk on the current farming issues, Greg. Thanks very much. We do like to cover the important stuff as well, primarily, obviously. We need now to start supporting our local family farms, which can grow our fruits and veg in our closest villages rather than getting them shipped in from Argentina. Get our milk from our neighbours rather than the big shops. We should rather eat healthier than processed junk. We must realise that our government has sold us out and we need to take matters into our own hands and shop locally and healthily. Another, this could be a great opportunity for farmers now to get into more organic or regenerative farming. There are more natural ways, products to put on your land that encourages growth, and there are good schemes from government that are designed to do that too, be it forestry or something else. Totally agree with this lady talking. Sadly, the farmers are finally finding out what the fishermen did for years. We need to stand with our farmers now. Everyone needs to pressure the government to support them rather than dictate or have it dictated from Europe. Farmers need to get back to basics, says another, and use plain manure. The second they went to slurry, I knew there was trouble ahead. Our agriculture minister should go back to Europe, give an ultimatum and mean it. We exit the EU and sail alongside Britain. There's no reason why Ireland cannot get on with doing what we do best, producing safe food. But where do we export that food to? And this is where the British have come unstuck here. If they thought they could do it on their own, that they'd be better on their own. But I'll tell you, Britain is in a poor state, and it's no example to sort of threaten and say we'll do what they did. We are exporters, but we have to consider where we would export the food. There's no money in growing enough, rearing enough food, producing enough milk just for an internal market. It would sustain us, but that would not be beneficial to the general economy. Okay, competition time. A little later on this morning, one of you who've entered our with our friends at Fit20 will win a 3-month membership to the gym. They say you can get stronger in just 20 minutes with Fit20. You train once a week, you have a personal trainer, and it's in a climate-controlled gym. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning that 3-month membership, here are the details.
On this week's show, with thanks to Fit20, we're giving you the chance to win a 3-month membership. Get stronger in just 20 minutes with Fit20. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. To win this prize, simply answer a question each day. An overall winner will then be selected on Friday. And now, here is today's question. How many miles are in a marathon? Is it A, 26, or B, 56 miles? Text or WhatsApp your answer, name and address to 086 60 25,000.
All right, text or WhatsApp 086 60 25,000.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 8th of September. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S20. It's game number 36. The numbers are 80, 71, 2, 60, 78, 48, 43, 66, 73, and finally 15. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
At Centra, shop smart and feel good with great offers this weekend. Like Centra strip loin steak 360 gram, only €7. Selected barbecue meats, any 3 for €10. And until Sunday, Torres Vigna Sol, only €9. So shop smart, feel good. Centra, live every day. Enjoy a call sensibly.
Sheridan Security, now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
The County Donegal Blackface Sheep Breeders Association annual female sale of cast ewes, hoggets and ewe lambs will take place in Ballybuffet and Stranorlar Mart on Wednesday the 13th of September at 6 p.m. 3 ewe lambs will be sold on the day in aid of the Donegal Hospice.
The 9 Til Noon show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
Okay, we are joined on the programme now by Angeline Diver, who is director of Ohana Zero Suicide. Good morning to you, Angeline. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you keeping today?
I'm very well.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about Ohana Zero Suicide.
Well, Ohana Zero Suicide was launched in December 2020. And up to now, over 1,100,000 people have logged onto the website to do the Ohana Suicide Prevention Training. And on Tuesday, we launched the specific training for third level students in the Mansion House with the Lord Mayor Dahi de Rochta. So we're very, very proud of that. It was attended by Anna MacDonald from the National Office of Suicide Prevention. It was attended by Trinity College, the IRFU, a lot of people that are really interested in our third level students. And I suppose these students specifically have been through the trauma of COVID and have spent quite a bit of time at home. So it can be quite an isolating experience now to go away to college, Greg. So this training is free, 30 minutes, and it gives you the tools to really identify the signs if somebody is struggling.
Now, is this, this is the third level edition. Is this targeted specifically to third level students? Because there are obviously other versions of this program available, but this is specifically, and I'm thinking of listening to granny and granddads and mums and dads listening, this is specifically for their third level students, and there can be signposts to that by, as I say, those listening in case their students aren't.
It's for the third level students, but it's also for their families, their parents, their friends.
So when they come back, so when your student comes back from college, for an example, if you go through this, it educates you on perhaps how to identify the signs of a struggle, or open up a conversation, or to understand language, or to use the right language, because we can feel very... Sometimes I think we go into our own shell because we don't know what the right thing to say is, or we don't want to make things worse. So this tools people in a very simple, informative way as to how best identify and deal with any issues.
Exactly, yes. And it's like really using the specific language. You know, for example, if they feel that somebody is really struggling or depressed, to have the courage to say, are you feeling suicidal? And in the past, you know, a lot of people would have thought, well, if I mention the word suicide, that might plant a seed and that might, you know, really devastate the person altogether or push them over the edge, whereas evidence has really shown that that is not the case. And by using that language, you can actually save somebody's life.
And what's the logic there? Does it fling the door open to conversation rather than maybe two parties pussyfooting around it and not actually getting to the core of the issue?
Yeah, exactly. It's like sometimes you find that people will say, oh, you'll be okay. What have you to worry about? You know, you have everything that you need. You have everything going for you. But when you actually sit down, and it's specifically, and it's not just for men, but sometimes women find it easier to talk to each other. Whereas men will say, you know, sure, well, listen, we'll go for a pint, or are you going to the match? But it's like really having that conversation. Are you okay? And they probably will say the first time, yes, I'm grand. And then they say, well, you are away at college. You know, how are you finding it? It's like getting deeper into that conversation. And then you will find that people will, this person is actually really listening, or he's actually really interested. And then you may find that they will open up and actually talk about how they are feeling. And that's what we want to encourage, because in that simple book, you know, Charlie McKeesey, he said, what is the bravest thing you've ever said? The boy asked, and the horse said, help. You know, it's like really just asking that question. I need a bit of help. I need to talk, or is there something advice you can give me?
And you are equipped with that advice. Now, you're not expected to become a counsellor as such. You're also informed as to, from that point, because the conversation has been established, the situation has been established, and you can offer some words of comfort or encouragement. But then you are also given the details as to how you direct that person to help that's most appropriate to them. And as I say, a lot of this perhaps is common sense, and people might go, oh, I knew that anyway, but there's so many of us don't know how to deal with a situation like this.
Exactly. And you know what we've really found is the most traumatic thing is when you hear people say, why did I not see it? You know, and that's what they're left with. They're left with the questions and the guilt and wondering, you know, forever and ever, you know, is there something I could have done that would have made that difference? So with this short training...
Often, can I just say, just often in that situation, there isn't anything anyone could have done. Just in case that person is listening, just because you did this, it doesn't mean that you could have prevented something happening. But by going through a program like this, you best give yourself the opportunity to spot signs.
Exactly, yeah. And you will find in some of the speakers that are on the training that they will say, if I had known that, things might have been different. But that's all they can say. Things may have been different. They may not have been. And we're not trying to send anybody on a guilt trip. It's really like, you know, it's like prevention is better, as we all say, prevention is better. So if you can learn something new that may help save a life, why not? You know, why not get those tools? We're always trying to educate ourselves and, you know, really become more empowered in all walks of life. And this is just another way.
Yeah, and this to some extent, and I welcome it, goes against of what you might sort of come across on social media, where, and I think it's almost creating a space whereby the general population don't want to talk about things because you'll see trigger warnings at the start of tweets and stuff, right? So or X's or whatever they're called now. So you get conditioned to that over a while, and you think, right, the best thing is to, unless I am an expert or unless it's me affected, it's best for me to not say anything because I could get jumped on for triggering something. This normalizes the language and makes it very clear that it's not an opinion. It's based on research that we have to use certain words and we have to be quite frank in our questioning, because that's how the other party feels that, right, now I can open up, right, this is a space where I'll be listened to.
Yes, and you know what we always talk about is the stigma that's attached to suicide. So breaking down that stigma, and the easiest way to break down any stigma is to communicate, to talk about it. And then it does become more normal and it does become more acceptable to talk about, to have these conversations and to have them openly. And it's like really, you know, when 2 or 3 people are together, you know, instead of chatting and talking about the fun and the crack and everything, you know, to sit down and just have, listen, everybody, how are we all doing? You know, let's have a conversation. And if somebody wants to share something, and this can be in a very, you know, a private, intimate conversation with people that you trust, obviously. You're not going to be talking openly about your feelings to people that you don't really know that well. But it's like really talking about it, or even talking about what would happen if one of us did feel like this, so that we're always prepared, you know, and that stigma is broken down just by having these conversations regularly. And then it's not a huge thing for somebody to actually open up and say, listen, I'm not feeling 100%. Or if you notice somebody is not being their normal self, that you can say to them, I've noticed, you know, that there's something just not right. You're not your usual self. And that simply can open up that conversation. Is there something going on? Are you feeling okay? Is there anything I can do? And then if you feel it's appropriate, I mean, you're not going to be asking everybody, are you suicidal? But if you feel those words are appropriate, just to say them. Mm-hmm. And that then, and I have heard people say this, and I'm so proud now, Greg, of, you know, even hearing somebody say, listen, are you suicidal? Are you feeling, you know, is that how you're feeling? Because the more we say that and the more we normalize that, well, then again, it's part of the prevention that we feel is necessary.
Yeah, and part of this, going through this process, is to give you indicators as to when that statement or that question is actually appropriate, because there are circumstances then, and you have to go through it and you'll understand. ohana.ie. All you're being asked for is to give 20 to 30 minutes of your time and learn about something that you might think you may not need, but you just don't know, because there are taxi drivers, other service providers that have done this in the past for different reasons and then found themselves in a conversation with someone in the back of the cab or what have you, and been able to utilise the tools and save lives, because sometimes it's the stranger that you happen to bump into. And if a conversation takes a certain path, again, this provides you with the tools and the language to help someone. That's what we want to do, is to help other people.
And it gives you that confidence that you know what to say and you don't feel embarrassed by saying it. You can say it, say it really strongly and confidently, which gives them the confidence then to open up and talk about it, because they feel that they know this person actually knows how I'm feeling by the words that they're using.
We are speaking, of course, ahead of, I want to use the correct terminology here, World Suicide Prevention Day. What is the theme of it? I had it in front of me, but I can't seem to find it now. The theme is actually creating hope through action, and that kind of fits in really quite nicely with the Ohana Zero Suicide Programme.
It does, yeah. And actually, the Lord Mayor Dahi, his plan for his year is be kind, to make Dublin a city of kindness. So that again, it can be attached to that, be kind, just look out for people, look out for your family, look in the mirror. Sometimes it's like suicide does not discriminate. It is everybody's business. It could be somebody really close to you, or it could be somebody sitting beside you on the bus, or somebody that's sitting on a chair beside, a river or a nice walk, and you just notice something and you sit down and you say, is everything okay? And, sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger. So it's really like, just being open and being confident to say those words, is everything okay? Just ask the question and make the call. We have all the resources there. And one thing, Greg, is if you do plan to ask that question to somebody, be prepared for the answer. So you can't ask the question and then leave the person there and say, well, listen, I'll be back to you in a few days, or I have to go to work now. You have to make sure that you are able to sit down and spend time with them and make sure that you do the right thing and make sure that they are looked after.
Okay, so it's for students, lecturers, I suppose, parents, aunties, uncles, grandparents, whoever might be closest to it. We know going to third level is a difficult time for some, and this is about identifying maybe even issues early. It's just to be kind to each other, to help each other. You're asked just to commit 30 minutes of your time, which flies on TikTok or Facebook or something, but your 30 minutes, up to 30 minutes at ohana.ie, ohana.ie. And if you do it, text us and let us know of your experience, and we can give you a shout out for doing so as well, if that helps.
Yeah. Mentioned there, Greg, there is a certificate at the end of it that you can print off, or you can, take
put on your socials to let people,
And even if they want to share that on their social media platforms, it would be great to see. We're just calling it a little bit of a train-a-thon before World Suicide Prevention Day. So as many people as possible, even if you just take on, because sometimes you say, oh, I must do that, and then life gets in the way and, you don't do it. But if you could just take on to get it done before Sunday, the 10th of September, World Suicide Prevention Day, that's just a little thing to do to make a difference in the world and to make a difference here in Ireland and in Donegal and everywhere, all over.
Yeah, and I think when we last talked about this, there was a wee rush of activity in the Northwest as people actually did take it on, if I recall correctly. So hopefully we see the same again. It's just 30 minutes of your time, or up to 30 minutes of your time, ohana.ie, ohana.ie, and it's helping yourself because it gives you the confidence and power maybe to help someone else, and who's to say when you might need that. But also, even just for mums and dads, it's difficult sometimes to communicate with our younger people, and some of it's one thing and then some of it could be another. Okay, thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it. Is there something you wish to add, or are you happy enough, Angeline?
Just the Samaritans number, Greg, is 116-123, and Pieta House is 1800-247-247.
Just recap those, because it dropped out a little bit. Just recap those numbers for us, please.
Okay, the Samaritans is 116-123, and they're available 24/7. Pieta is 1800-247-247, and they're absolutely fantastic as well. Show you care, ask the question, make the call for help.
Have a lovely day. Angeline Diver there, Director of Ohana Zero Suicide. It's ohana.ie, ohana.ie. if you want to take part in that. It's short, 20 to 30 minutes, third level edition of suicide training. I think I did it in about 20 or maybe slightly less. It's not a big commitment, but then you kind of know stuff, you know, you know stuff. It empowers you and empowers you maybe to be able to help others closest to you, or even someone that you just happen to talk to. As I say, let us know how you get on with that by texting the show, and even over the weekend we'll pick them up.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 Till Noon show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
Tá an scéim faoi sa bhí le seomra ligean Cias ar oscail den isis. Agus déad fós suas le 40 million euro sa bhliain a hiilimh séir ó cháin trí seomra de cheach a ligean Cias leach léin. Tá an scéim se oscailta de gach duine, agus ní bheidh tionchar eici ard íscíochtaí lesa chóisilig má aon tú iad. Tuile eolais ag gov.ie/contosig room for a student. Tianscanmh de chuid réaltas na hÉireann.
The Olive Grove Pizzeria is now open at the new Smokes and Grills restaurant in Letterkenny, serving freshly made, mouth-watering pizzas every Wednesday to Sunday from 12. To celebrate the opening during September, a 12-inch pepperoni pizza is just $7.50. This great deal is available to sit in or take away. The Olive Grove Pizzeria at Smokes and Grills in Riverside Retail Park, Letterkenny. Call 9113333 or see Smokes and Grills on Facebook.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €30 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Homeowners, it's time to unlock incredible savings on your energy bills. Efficient Renewables is here to reduce your energy consumption, say goodbye to skyrocketing costs and hello to renewable energy solutions. With no VAT on solar panels and the generous grants for both solar panels and heat pumps, see these innovative systems in action in our state-of-the-art showroom in Newton Cunningham today. Contact Efficient Renewables on 074 97 08320.
The big garden sale is here at your local Homeland Garden Centre. Enjoy 20% of all shrubs and perennial plants, 20% of all ceramic pots, 20% of all garden hand tools, save 50% off all water features and so much more. Pop into your local Homeland Garden Centre with offers available until September the 11th while stocks last.
A caller says on the issue we had before the break there, this can be so hard to hear for people. Is this appropriate to air? What about the families who have lost someone? I've often on this programme, obviously everyone deals with things in a different way. And of course, I'm acutely aware that some, and I hope I recognise that in the conversation, that some will find it difficult to listen to. But not talking about it has not served us very well at all. And there's never a right time not to talk about it either. But most of the conversations I have about mental health or suicide are with people who've been affected by it, and they don't want other people to be affected by it either. And I don't think it's not like collateral damage where it's okay to hurt some people so that you can still talk about it to help others. It's not like that at all. It's a difficult one, but as I say, we have to talk about it. It's a serious problem. And not talking about it hasn't really served us very well at all. But I respect your view. I understand your view, and I be conscious of that in having those conversations. I genuinely do. And the same as it relates to road safety as well. There are people that it will inevitably hurt, but you just try as best as possible to be conscious of that and to choose your language carefully, and for maybe them to come along on board with you and to understand that what you're trying to do is to make sure another family is not going through what they're going through, the nightmare that they're going through. But as I say, I appreciate your comment, and it's something I am aware of. I have a child that just started school and is getting a bus to school, and I realise that the bus driver is not advising them to put the seatbelts on, or helping them for that matter. I'm paying for this private bus service and I can't guarantee the safety of my 5-year-old child. We talk about speed and adults, but let's think of the children here. What do I do about this? Do I approach the bus driver or the company? 100%. You paying for it, you say, listen, my young boy or girl is on the bus and they might need a little bit of help with the seatbelt, or they're not being advised to put the seatbelts on, or the driver's pulling off without the children putting their seatbelts on. Obviously, to some extent, the driver can only do so much, but certainly if you've got concerns, raise it with the bus driver in the first instance, rather than going above their head into the company and then it going back down the way. I think I'd politely mention it to the bus driver first. Okay, Louise joins us on the programme now. Hi, Louise. How are you getting on?
Hi, Greg. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're in a dilemma that's going to be very familiar to an awful lot of people listening. Your daughter heading off to college. It's a big step for her in Sligo, so got her place, all very, very exciting. But now we're down to the situation of where is she going to live? So that happiness and joy and nervousness is all exacerbated by this issue.
Yeah, it certainly has overshadowed after getting the acceptance and, you know, that joy, that excitement. And maybe originally I thought I was maybe being a little bit naive and I thought that accommodation would be easily to come by, especially being a first-year student. However, since looking on like social media and joining all the different groups and the ATU Sligo Union group, there are hundreds, Greg, hundreds of young people from Donegal desperately seeking accommodation. They've accepted their places because obviously Tegan got her first place, so it was something that she wanted to do. And now I just feel at a complete loss. I'm spending all day, every day on the phone. I've even tried hostels, I've tried Airbnbs, I've tried hotels. And yeah, I'm just a little bit of a loss as to where I'm going to put my daughter on the 18th of September when she starts her college degree.
And if you find anything, is it any way affordable, or if you know, what kind of prices are we talking if you do happen to come across something that is available?
Yeah, so honestly, they really vary. So we've had some. My daughter could have gone into this accommodation had I been able to afford it, and it was a shared bedroom, so she will be sharing with someone else, shared bathroom, kitchen and living quarters. It was £800 deposit, wow. €800 deposit. Then they needed a heat and lighting deposit for the bills, and then it was €100 a week, and then your other bills on top. So unfortunately that was a little bit out of our price range. I've messaged some people today. You're looking on average between €100 and €200 a month for a room. Some of them are ensuite, some of them are shared bathrooms. But they're so, like, you've got so many people. You've got like 400-500 students desperate for accommodation that as soon as one person becomes available on these sites, like, obviously everyone's jumping on them. And because she doesn't drive, I'm kind of enclosed to a niche as to where I can send her, because it has to have a bus route or some kind of transportation from where she's staying to get her into Sligo.
Understood. Because all of a sudden, if it's outside Sligo or it's a taxi ride and too long to walk, and God knows what the weather might be like, that 100 130 a week all of a sudden becomes 220 if you start putting taxis and stuff on it, and you don't want to send her down there where she's completely reliant on the help of others, you know, even in terms of shared lifts and stuff. It's a lot of money, isn't it, Louise? And we want our best for our children, of course, and for them to achieve their best. But and you know, that probably is on the lower side of it when you look at what someone might play in Galway or Dublin, but it's still big money.
Yeah, I think it comes down to affordability, and what's affordable for one person may not be affordable for somebody else, and what's reasonable for one person might be out of the other person's budget. Now, I was looking into buses also, Greg, so because we live in Stranraer. So I was looking into buses to see, you know, is it possible to bus it? I know it's an hour and a half bus, but if this is the course that you want to take and this is the, you know, the outcome that you want for your life, you're gonna put yourself out there for it. I've contacted all the bus companies that come through Ballabafay, and she can get to Sligo, but should she have a 9 a.m. lecture, she's going to be late for that lecture because the earliest bus is 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and I presume it's not practical for a local bus operator to put on a bus, even if it was full. It could be cost prohibitive to the students compared to what they would need to make it pay. So what are your options, Louise? I mean, the chances of finding something in the last 2 weeks, I mean, you know, it's like doing the lotto to some extent. You would hope and pray. Maybe there's someone listening actually from Donegal that has a room and would love to split it, you know what I mean, if it were appropriate. But that's the kind of space we're in now. Is someone going up and down where car share and contribution to fuel can be a factor to it? Or is there someone down there from up here that would like someone, you know, that would be, obviously, again, if it was appropriate and agreeable to both parties to share? I don't know. Is that the options you're looking at now, Louise?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking at. So I've posted on all of my social media that I'm happy to, you know, carpool if there is anybody travelling, even if you're just travelling to Sligo for work, and she can get to Sligo. I mean, we just need to get her there. So if it was a carpooling thing and she didn't have a lecture or something till maybe 1 o'clock, there's always facilities available on campus. So there's a library, there's different things she can be getting on with once she's actually in Sligo. So yeah, I've been looking at carpooling. I'm still interested in any kind of digs if there's, you know, a room available. And I am very cautious as well, Greg, because she is 17. So you want the best for your children, don't you? You want to put them in an environment where they're going to be safe and where, you know, they're going to thrive.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and I'm really hoping that
is
out of the
take
woodwork
the year out. Is taking the year out on the table? Neither of the two you want that, I presume.
So taking a year out would have been an option. However, you had to, you had a small window to confirm you wanted to take a year out. Mm-hmm. And at the time when we accepted the course, she'd actually found some digs. And we were like, oh, that's fabulous. And then, unfortunately, the digs have fallen through because there's a change in the buses. So that bus doesn't no longer go down that way. So when she actually took her course, she thought she'd sorted it. We thought we had digs for her.
It's got. There's a lot of people listening to you, Louise, that are going to say that's our situation. That's our situation as well, and it's really, really tough. And I think it's underestimated how tough it is on parents and guardians and caregivers, because, as you say, you just want the best and you want to give them every opportunity and you want to find the solution. But we're at the point now where hopefully a call like this may help, but you try and, you know, calling every day, I'm sure it's dominating your day, checking the social media, checking the inboxes. It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is quite full on, and every time your phone pings, you like jumping, hoping that it's somebody offering you a room or something that's going to be acceptable for her. And I feel like she's done everything that I wanted her to do. So she's done her leaving cert, she passed everything. She got accepted in the college that she wanted, in the course that she wanted. So then I feel like a little bit responsible now to set this up for her so that she can continue on and do what she planned to do. But as I say, you just hit brick walls. There was hardly any. I know there was 2 student-built accommodation blocks that actually closed in June and informed students that they would no longer be running a student accommodation. So that was 400 students that got informed that those buildings were changing use.
Straight to the back of the queue.
And I know that.
Yeah, that's a nightmare for them as well.
Yeah. And then I know it's just been passed by the Minister of Higher Education, Simon Harris, that said no, it can only be used for student accommodation. Okay. So all those people are now waiting to see whether they can get in there, and obviously I'm waiting to see is there any breadcrumbs, is there anything spare going.
And Louise, do you know how to search the rent-a-room thing? I'm hearing the adverts where people are able to rent out a room to a student and it doesn't affect their benefits or what have you, if that applies to them. Have you looked at that? I don't even know how you access it because I don't have anyone looking for accommodation, if you know what I mean. But is there a search engine for that? Yeah,
so draft.ie, they do digs as well. The ATU Student Union are putting up every single option they get. There's 2 groups on Facebook that are for Sligo accommodation, and I've joined those groups, and they're just chock-a-block of people literally begging for accommodation. You know, I'm tidy, I'm clean, I'm well behaved. I won't be. But like, you see these young people, they're literally begging for somebody to take them in and be like, yeah, okay, I can give you a room.
Caller says accommodation or lack of is shocking. My daughter was accepted into Maynooth but has had to defer until next year as accommodation was not available, and the student accommodation queuing system online last Friday morning was shambolic and definitely not a queue as described by the college. I have anxiety now just thinking of not getting accommodation again next year, and the problem is it's very difficult to set this up in advance because you get notification of what course you have or whether you're accepted very late, and then this scrambles all jammed into what feels like a really short couple of weeks. Louise, it's a silly system, isn't it?
Yeah, and I followed. So the ATU give you advice on I think there's 4 steps on what to do, and you apply, and then you get your offer, and then you accept it, and then you get accommodation. You find accommodation. So I followed their advice to the T. It's just that so many people are also scrambling for that available accommodation as well, and there's just not enough accommodation to help all these students. And I mean, I'm going to be probably one of the lucky ones if I can get a bus. You know, if we can get an arrangement with the university, she can get the bus from here. But someone from Dublin or someone from Kerry or further away, they're really going to struggle. Then not only are they completely moving to a new environment where they probably don't know anyone and it's a whole new agenda for them, they've also got to struggle with trying to find somewhere to live.
Yeah, okay. Louise, you're in the Ballybofey area. I think you mentioned it. I don't know, but I heard that's what you said. So maybe there's someone listening in that area that has a student that's also looking for accommodation or has found it and might want to have a chat with you and see if it all suits everybody. Or maybe they're going up and down to Sligo from that area. Again, you know, you're pretty flexible in making that work as well. We have your details here. It's probably a long shot, but look, I think, Louise, what you've done is give a voice to awful lot of people in the exact same position as well. So thank you for that, but I hope something positive for you and your daughter comes from it as well.
Thank you so much, Greg, and thank you for your time.
Take care, Louise.
The 9 Till Noon show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
Prepare and protect your skin this autumn. Invest in Lancome skincare, available at McElhenney's department store. Purchase 2 or more Lancome products, 1 to be skincare, and get a full-size product completely free. Offer available in-store at McElhenney's and online at mcelhenneys.com while stocks last.
Shrink your bill with Double Savers at Dunnes Stores. Save in the aisle with the ingredients for 5 meals for less than €25. That's everything you need for a beef stir-fry, fish finger wraps, chicken casserole, vegetable penne pasta and salmon teriyaki. All for €24.68 when you save with the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Find all the recipes on our website. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
New football boots just arrived at Brian McCormick Sports. Adidas X Crazy Fast in new white, green or classic black. Adidas Copa Pure in classic black. New Puma King range in soft ground or firm ground. Kids football boots for all sizes in many new colours. Match up your boots with an Adidas or O'Neill set of socks and shorts. Brian McCormick Sports, your football specialist. Click on bmcsports.ie or call in Main Street Letterkenny.
Are the signs of aging creeping up on you? Are you not happy with the way you look or feel? At Letterkenny Medics Private Clinic, we're here to help you, offering Botox anti-wrinkle injections, derma fillers, skin bio injections, Botox treatment for grinding and clenching teeth, hyperhidrosis that aids excessive sweating. Let our doctors help bring back your confidence and look after what is important to you. To see what real results really look like, book your immediate appointment with no waiting times at letterkennymedics.ie. Letterkenny Medics, we listen if you want to talk.
Okay, our next guest is Aoife Moore, political journalist and author. Her new book, The Long Game Inside Sinn Féin, out now. Good morning, Aoife. Thanks for your time.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you back on the show. So what's the subject matter behind, I suppose, the title of your new book, Aoife?
Yeah, it's not a history book, but it is an explanation of where Sinn Féin came from. So the Sinn Féin we know now in its current form was born out of the hunger strike in 1981. And it's basically a timeline and a series of stories about how they became the most popular party on the island, north and south, up until present day.
And how long have you been working on this, and how did you gather the information, Aoife?
It feels like a lifetime. So I signed the contract when I was just the day before my 30th birthday and on my 32. So about 2 years altogether, but it was, I can't exactly call it a labour of love because it was a nightmare, but I endeavoured to speak to as many people, MPs, MLAs, TDs, staff, current and former of the party, to try and get an inside look about how the party operates, how the party were thinking at big points in Irish history and the peace process, and obviously former volunteers of the IRA, the security services, the British state. So it took a long time. I think I went to every corner of the island. I travelled to London, and this is the final product now. So I hope that it gives a real insight into how Sinn Féin operate and how they've become, you know, as I said, likely candidates for the next government, and not only in Stormont but in the Republic as well.
And how's it been received by Sinn Féin?
I hear they're not happy, but you need to remember that Sinn Féin really didn't want me to write this book. The best way I could describe it was that Sinn Féin were unhelpful at best and obstructive at worst. I was sent an email by their solicitor telling me not to contact the press office anymore, that I was only to contact a solicitor. I was given the runaround by Sinn Féin for over a year when I was trying to get interviews, so I got no official cooperation from the party, and so far I hear that they're not altogether too happy about it, but I suppose that's to be expected with Sinn Féin and kind of how they react to negative press and negative stories anyway.
Was it difficult to convince former, those with knowledge, former or even current non-elected Sinn Féin members to cooperate?
Oh, absolutely. You know, there's a real high level of discipline within Sinn Féin. So the interviews were carried out under the condition that I offered people anonymity. You need to remember that a lot of the people, maybe they aren't in Sinn Féin officially anymore, but they are members. They're from Republican communities. They still have a lot of loved ones who vote Sinn Féin or are in Sinn Féin. So there was a lot of convincing. I found women a lot harder to convince to speak than men. I don't want to make the obvious joke about men liking the sound of their own voice, but I made a real effort to speak as many women as men, because I think in books about the Troubles and books about politics, it is very much dominated by male voices. And I really wanted to change that, but I find women actually a lot harder, because for a lot of people there's a lot of trauma as well. It's a different time in their life and they want to move on. But I am eternally grateful to the people who did speak, and a lot of current representatives and current members of Sinn Féin did speak to me. They just didn't tell the party that they spoke to me.
Now, you know, look, you're an author, you put your stuff out there, people are going to review it, critique it, and that's fine, that's all part of it. But I think you are one of maybe a small group of people on this island that also people seem, you're a lightning rod for a commentary, you know, when a lot of people are seem to be like you haven't seen before. Your personality or your work and sort of framing reviews in relation to that, or commentary in relation to that, that's something you probably just have to put up with, Aoife, is it? Do you recognise what I'm talking about?
I absolutely know what you're talking about. But listen, if people review the book and they don't like the book, that's absolutely fine. I mean, that's part and parcel of putting your work out there. I think when you see some of the commentary around that we've seen in the last day or so, it is very much, it's more about me than it is about the book. And I think that says a lot about people. Listen, I think the way I look, the age I am, the fact that I'm from Derry, and a big advocate for Derry and the North, really rubs people up the wrong way in the Republic. Don't count Donegal on that, but in some areas of the Republic, you know that there is a very partitionist attitude. They do not want me working down there, commenting on politics. I have had death threats, rape threats. So this is all, you know, it was all very much expected, even though it is disappointing. And what is most disappointing, it's from people who are old enough to know better.
Yeah,
I think some people,
I think people in the establishment need to understand that sometimes they can be cheerleaders for anons who want to abuse others as well. Okay, the book, I'm sure, is available in all the usual places, Aoife?
Yes, all good bookshops, all little ones and big ones, on Amazon, but I would prefer if one shop is a local bookshop if that's possible.
No problem. Aoife Moore, listen, good luck with it. Thank you very much indeed. Political journalist, her new book, The Long Game, Inside Sinn Féin, out now.
The 9 Till Noon show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
How are you doing, Liam? Usual, is it? Seasol? At Visa, we're proud to support small businesses in every community, like Murphy's of Dingle, makers of quality ice cream supplied by Kerry Dairy Farms. When you shop with an independent business, it multiplies to support your community. Where you shop matters. Visa.
The bakers are talking about their kids heading back to school, says old Mr. Brennan. They'll need the grades if they want to grow up to be bakers, just like their mums and dads, says I. I see the circumference of the hole in the bagel, or calculating the hypotenuse of the perfect triangular toastie. Hypotenuse, says I. The mathematician's bread and butter. Brennan's. Today's bread today.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years' experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no-obligation quotation on 913233.
Eat healthy, work smart, be better. I don't listen to any of that. I'm fine the way I am, according to the mammy. And we all know she's never wrong. No, the only thing I'm changing is my broadband provider. You see, National Broadband Ireland is delivering high-speed fibre broadband right to my door. With almost 50 broadband providers using their network, I can decide who I want to connect with. I just need to find the best deal for me. And the mammy, of course. You can find out all about it at nbi.ie. NBI, building a limitless Ireland, supported by the Government of Ireland.
Have you heard about the McElhinney's M Card? Now available exclusively in store. Sign up today to start earning and redeem once you hit 500 points. Register in store at our M Card station on the first floor or at any till point. The M Card, the new way to save at McElhinney's.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Okay, we've got a fresh Friday panel for you. Michael and Fionnuala are away, but you won't be disappointed with the replacements. That's all on the way after we get the news now from Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Agriculture Minister says his door is always open to farm groups who want to discuss issues affecting the industry. It follows a large picket outside the Department of Agriculture yesterday, where a meeting was scheduled to take place to discuss new nitrogen limits for dairy farmers. 5 of the groups that were due to attend the meeting protested outside instead. Minister McConalogue says it's now critically important to focus attention on improving water quality to support a credible case for the renewal of the derogation in 2026. However, on today's 9 Till Noon show, Donegal Mart manager Eamon McGuinness questioned whether that strategy will work. National Broadband Ireland has announced engineering survey works for almost 1,200 Donegal premises in the Ballyshannon deployment area are now complete. There are approximately 33,000 premises in total in the Donegal intervention area, including homes, farms, commercial businesses and schools. NBI is reporting significant progress with the provision of broadband services. Councillor Jack Murray says the sale of O'Doherty's Keep represents a missed opportunity, and it is now incumbent on state agencies to ensure that the local and national heritage is protected. O'Doherty's Keep in Swan Park in Buncrana was sold to a private bidder yesterday. The owners had said they were left with no other option but to put it on the market because they'd made fruitless attempts to secure funding to restore it and keep it in use. The government's been warned the taxation of construction materials is counterproductive during the current accommodation crisis. The Society of Chartered Surveyors in Ireland is opposing the 5% defective concrete products levy, saying it hinders development at a time when construction costs are soaring. It was introduced following the publication of a revised redress scheme for those impacted by defective blocks in Donegal, Mayo and elsewhere. And all childcare providers nationwide are planning to close their doors for 3 days this month. A protest is to take place in Dublin between September 26th and 28th. The Federation of Early Childhood Providers says many small and medium creches are running at a huge loss. The group is calling on providers across the country to join them and raise awareness of the challenges within the sector. And there are the headlines. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Thanks very much, Donald.
To get smart with your spending so you can do more with your money.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Not with OnPost Money Manager, the smart budgeting app that does the work for you. Securely link all your current accounts and credit cards and see all your spending in one place.
What if I'm running low on cash?
You'll get a heads up with spending and budget alerts.
Sounds expensive.
Not at all. It's free to use whoever you bank with.
Say no more. I'm going to download the app now.
Do more with your money, no matter who you bank with. Search OnPost Money Manager.
Money Manager is provided by OnPost in conjunction with Tink. Tink is a payment institution authorised by the Swedish Financial Supervisory Authority to provide account information services.
Friday afternoon, it's just after 11 o'clock, so we try and chill out a bit, wind down. And we do so in the company today of our guests, the Donegal Daddy, Michael Brennan. How are you getting on?
I'm good, Greg. How are you?
Thank you for taking a brief break from making high-quality online content for the masses.
High quality? Well, thanks for that.
Clearly doing something right. And also Marie Rush. Hi, Marie. How's everything going with you? Maria. I said Maria.
All good, great.
I just say the A after Russia, go Marie Russia. Russia? Oh, can't do that. All right, no, can't do that.
See, I'm in trouble already. Look, I'm in trouble already.
Maria, thank you for correcting that early. I do appreciate it. How are you all getting on anyway? You enjoying this weather? It's nice, isn't it?
It's amazing. It's great.
Yeah.
Hottest day in September, is it? Ever on record?
Possibly.
So they're saying.
It's 1909 or something, or 1991 or whatever. Thanks for opening up the climate debate. Maria, do you enjoy hot weather?
I love hot weather. I just don't get out into it very much at the minute because we're busy down below. But yeah, no, I love the heat, I have to say. I think everybody's always in such good form when the sun's out.
Yeah.
You know? I feel sorry for the kids going back to school this week.
I don't.
Do you not? No.
I actually don't.
They've been at home all summer and that.
I've had to entertain them all summer in the rain. It's my turn now.
Well, this also was true, but yeah, not the wee kids.
I know. It'd be nice if they'd be able to enjoy it. But it kind of, in some way, for me, has kind of eliminated the bad memories of the summer. I don't really need 2 or 3 months of glorious weather. The little bit in June, this little Indian summer in September, I'll be okay. It'll get me through the winter.
It seems to be an annual thing now. We do get this in
September, October seems to be mild. It's not too bad.
Yeah, okay.
We'll take it.
Right, okay. Let's see. We'll start with you, Maria. You have... let's go Freeview, actually, because we do an awful lot of paid stuff. Children of Men, it's on BBC 3 tonight. What's this about?
It was on last night. But I think they'll do that thing now where they'll run it over and over again, you know. I suppose this is on my radar because I have been teaching that movie for years as an English teacher, and it's always one that the more I watch it, every year progresses, it becomes more and more interesting. So it was, it's Alfonso Cuarón. It was made in 2006, and I used to teach it as a dystopian futuristic movie because it was set in 2027. It was completely far-fetched, ridiculous, all these things that are in it, all the themes, all the different, the idea of London in the future. What's happening is there has been 2 decades of infertility where no one has been able to have a baby. The youngest child or the youngest person in the world is 18. And then there's the whole idea of Britain has left Europe. It has its borders up. There's a whole issue of asylum seekers and refugees. And as I said, when I started teaching it, probably until around 2008, it was always quite futuristic and dystopian, and this would never happen. And the more you watch it now, the more frightening it is, because there's so much that's actually...
That seems real.
So it was on last night. I hadn't intended to watch it, didn't realise it was on. Came home, sat down, it came on, and we went, right. I think Emmett has only seen it once. I've probably seen it about 17,000 times, but I enjoy it every single time I watch it. So, for someone who's looking for... I won't say escapism, because it's quite a tough watch. There's a lot of difficult themes in it, but it's a very, very well made movie. Critically, it's a really well acclaimed movie. There's one of the longest ever single shot scenes ever filmed. It was the longest for a long time. I'm not sure if it's been beaten to the post in the last few years, but there's a scene that is 7-8 minutes of one camera, and there's blood on the screen and everything. It's just, critically, it's phenomenal. And Clive Owen, Julianne Moore, Michael Caine's brilliant in it, but definitely would recommend it now if you're looking for something intelligent and lovely to watch.
And is it a one-way ticket? In other words, the stuff that seems to be coming to pass, and of course it's not like this whatsoever, but I mean, we're not is it going to get as bad as they suggest?
I hope not. It does turn into...
Some say that's one of the biggest, and I'm not saying it talks to this film necessarily, but one of the biggest threats to the world is the depopulation. We aren't producing as much as perhaps as we possibly should.
It is. It's...
So you're going to have to get your finger out, Michael.
I have enough of me plate. I don't.
No, it's definitely interesting. One of the things about it as well, a simple silly fact about it, is in the movie Clive Owen wears a hoodie that has London 2012 on it. And the logo and everything is pretty much exactly what actually did come to pass.
So it's like one of these things that predicts the...
Yeah, so there's a lot in it. And then one of the nicest messages, or one of the most, I suppose for me, poignant messages, is that all the wealth, all the artefacts and the things that were worth so much money when things were good are now sitting in warehouses completely irrelevant, because what's actually most precious is life.
Yeah.
And that, there's lots to... You can watch it and enjoy it as an action film, as a thriller.
I love Clive Owen.
But it definitely is. It's one of my favourites now, and one that I'll watch again and again.
Is Clive Owen a wee bit Marmite? I wonder, is he a wee bit like that?
He probably is a bit like that, but
maybe
That Inside Man. I love That Inside Man.
It's a very good film. Inside Man is a very good film. Actually, I think that's still on Netflix for anyone who hasn't seen it. It's a cracker. So Children of Men, dig it out. It probably streaming somewhere as well, somewhere or other. It was on BBC Three. They tend to get the rights to show it a few times, as Maria pointed out. Full marks out of 10?
Oh, for me, probably a 9. I do. I love it. It's a classic. It's one that you don't really get tired of watching, and even the soundtrack, the everything in it. There's more every time you watch it.
Yeah, okay. As you say, people will be watching out now for that longer scene. Fisk on Netflix, Michael. Do you watch, we're probably all the same. What age are your children?
4, 1 and 4 months. And
do you not find that you're watching TV, it's through them or around them? They're constantly jumping up and down on you, elbow drops.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
RKOs.
We're trying to get, what we watch is basically TV doesn't get... We don't watch any TV until you get them to bed, and then it's kind of, you're trying to find something that's not 2 hours long because you need to get to bed yourself.
So true, isn't it, Maria? Like it is, I can't commit to a...
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you, there's one film that I want to see, and it's 2 hours and 50 minutes, and I have not had an opportunity in 6 months where I'd have to watch that over 3 nights, I think.
Yeah, because you kind of, by the time it's nearly 10 o'clock and you're kind of like, I can't commit till 1 o'clock in the morning, even though I end up probably sitting up anyway. But Fisk, we found, I think actually Michael might have been talking about it when I went looking.
I don't listen all of the time.
And then it's very like The Office.
It's a kitchen, isn't it?
It's kind of like The Office. It's like based in a law firm.
All right, okay.
And then it's Australian, so it's kind of got that Australian humour as well, and it's very funny. It's all comedians basically in it as well. Like, it's a lot of, so it's a bit like The Office, but
Don't go and expecting The Office, but you'll recognise
that's the kind of
structure of
the
it.
feel of it, like.
Yeah.
But it's
and is it a drama or just a straight up comedy?
It's also very like Parks and Recreation. We'll go Parks and Recreation rather than The Office in case people get too high up in the expectations. But we found it great. We've only watched about 5 episodes of it, but it's very good.
Did any of you ever watch Blue Lights? The first time I heard it come up was at the NTAs there that were on during the week, and I watched the first episode of it. Afterwards, it's based in Belfast.
I was going to say it was made in Belfast.
To do with the PSNI and stuff. I was encouraged by the first episode. I think, but a lot of people seem very loyal to it, which is always a good sign. You know, they want other people to see what they've seen. So you're enjoying Fisk so far. That's on Netflix currently. My 2 favourites on the radio: Maria Rush and Donegal Daddy. It's pronounced Mihal.
Oh, yeah, it is. But listen.
So I got both names right from the get-go.
Listen, I'll answer to anything. I'm happy.
Yeah, sorry,
I'm just happy to be here, Greg.
Beg your pardon. There's no father on the.
Yeah, that's
a production issue. That's a production issue.
Hard to get the help.
Right, come here. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with more. Tell us what you're watching or listening to, or what have you seen in the cinema. I know Donald Kavanagh here, just after the headlines. I think Equalizer 3's in the cinema at the moment. He went and saw it. He says it's the best so far, and that puts an end to that trilogy. So if you've seen that and you want to review that for us, please get in touch. And you can always come on air as well. You know, this is not a closed shop. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 Till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 Till Noon Show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
Bluebird Care are currently recruiting carers and nurses across Donegal, with immediate starts available in Letterkenny, Ballybuffet, Inishowen and Donegal town areas. Your career with Bluebird Care starts here, with new attractive pay rates, travel assistance, paid training courses and ongoing career progression opportunities. Why not contact Bluebird Care on 074 91 29562 or learn more at bluebirdcarecareers.ie. Bluebird Care, more than just a career in care.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment, all have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Autumn cattle trade heats up. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
The autumn mar trade is lit up with factories, northern buyers and exporters competing for stock. 3,500 suckler farmers set to miss out on skep payment. Row over key scheme payment dates escalates. Flat rate tillage payment on the cards. Farmer frustration mounts over TAMS delays. Plus, in Irish Country Living, don't miss our top advice on securing mortgage approval.
All inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's 11:15. You're very welcome back to the programme. We have Micheál Brennan in studio with us, Maria Rush as well. Micheál, of course, Donegal Daddy, known as Donegal Daddy. Is Instagram your thing, Micheál? Is that where you do most of your stuff?
Yeah, Instagram would be my favourite of the platforms. I think TikTok, I do it as well, but I just like the interaction on Instagram. I really like
where you're coming from.
Nice. It's always a nice community. Like you get the odd, obviously, but most of it's lovely people.
That's good. All right, okay. Are you on social media much, Maria?
Yeah, not so much as I used to be. I suppose I would have been before blogging was a thing. I was blogging and writing and kind of involved in that whole thing. Instagram would be my favourite as well now, I have to say. Not on Facebook as much just because I don't have time to write as much anymore.
What has just happened?
He dropped his phone.
Something went flying though as well. Like, okay, that's fine.
And then Twitter or X or whatever you call it, I'm moving away from it at the minute too. I'm finding
it's a horrible old
very
space,
negative.
isn't it?
Yeah. But at the same time, from the point of view of having a business, you need to be on socials.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy Instagram. I don't have much time to use it as much as
I've tried to give X / Twitter. But it's just the way stuff is pushed to you. Do you know what I mean? Like even in terms of the conversation about speed limits.
Yeah.
There was no structure to it. It was just like people who are, say, yes, we should do this because it'll save lives. And then others suggesting that it was some part of some master plan.
Yeah.
And you can't express any view in the middle at all.
Exactly. There's no common.
I think that's what's happened on Facebook and Twitter over the last 8 years even. If you go back that far, there is no grey area anymore. You're either...
And you can't agree with two sides.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no grey. It's like if you've watched...
And even common ground, you get it from both sides then.
Yes.
So if you try and play... Sorry, go ahead with your example, Michael.
The Cambridge Analytica. Yeah. That... what's it called? The big... it's like a it's about the election and there's one about the Brexit election and there's one about the Trump election, but how Cambridge Analytica polarised everything.
Yeah.
And that's basically stuck. It's what's happened.
Yeah. And what happened is people found themselves in their own echo chambers, never to return to general social discourse, which is so lovely. You know, in real life, that's what I think. This is the best ad for real life because you can just meet people and you don't really need to instantly know their views on everything.
Yeah, funny. I spoke to Donald Kavanagh during the week, but we were having a conversation about this, and I was saying, I suppose one of the reasons I'm not writing as much as I used to, apart from time, is that there's times I start to write and I think, I know I can hear what's going to come at me already.
You could get cancelled.
And well, they can cancel away, you know.
No, but you know what I mean.
But you're right, and it's almost like I'm thinking. It's not that I don't want. I'll always defend my own opinion. It's my opinion. It's mine. I own it. It's fine. But there is a time where you think I don't have the headspace or the brain capacity for what I know is going to come at me. So I just don't bother.
A parent, a partner, a business person. Do you know, like you have to sort of say, "Well, do exactly." Yeah, that's it.
All the time. Like every time I post anything that you're thinking, what's going to come back here?
Yeah.
Even there. Just an example. Recently, we're trying to figure out 3 car seats for the back of the car. That is
Who's your friend?
I spoke to the RSA, the guy from the RSA, done a Zoom call with them, and he recommended, and like the amount of that fella doesn't know what he's talking about, and you're going, he's the RSA.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Everyone has an opinion.
Yeah.
But you know what they say about opinions. Greg, I've gotten back into the office. I've gotten back to the office US. It's one of those classic shows that you can keep going back to. Can you ask the panel what is their comfort show? Now, I haven't seen... what is your comfort show? I think mine's Wheeler Dealers.
Oh, I love Wheeler Dealers.
I think that's is that if that's what the caller's listening to, and I can watch the same episode over and over again.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. They can repeat it all of the time.
I love Wheeler Dealers.
Yeah, I love Gogglebox.
Well, yeah, but I won't seek it out.
No, but if it's on, and the chase, we've spoken about this before.
I'm off the chase now.
Oh, I love the chase.
Yeah, I've gone to Tipping Point.
I could watch it. I used to hate Tipping Point, and then I think I got kind of into it.
What happened? Like, now I'm going, the chase is crap. Tipping Point is where it's all at.
Oh, I still like the chase. I love. I just love Bradley.
It's strange own language, though. You know, that's the word. You know, you might get a bit of lateral, or everyone's using this language. You're too busy to watch this stuff, but I watch it on delay or whatever. Yeah. One of Gogglebox's UK's original stars, Stephen Webb, and his partner Daniel Lustig have announced they're leaving the show. Stephen joined the Channel 4 programme when it first started back in 2013. The pair say they feel the time's right to explore other opportunities. Now, what they may be, I'm not quite sure, but I know it's just hot off the press. So your comfort show is what? Yours is... I'm going to look for another one.
Oh, yeah, I have loads.
Go on.
Do you know what I always love? I just go into and I could dip into it. Is Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
and it's very choice. It's very niche kind of humour. My wife Aoife just can't get it. Hates it.
Maybe that's why you enjoy it.
Maybe, but it's great, and it's like 20-minute shows as well, so you just can turn it on.
Yeah.
And Charlie Day is in it, and it's just brilliant.
I think Family Guy used to be mine at one point,
same as
but then
that.
it kind of doesn't fit in anymore.
Yeah.
With the content. What is your favourite comfort show? Your comfort show, we might as well ask the audience as well. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApp and text. What's your go-to show? As I say, I think probably Wheelie Doo. This is probably mine, but it will change. What about you, Maria, then? So Gogglebox, I think that's a standard. We all like that.
Yeah, and I have to say, I always dip in and out of Friends again. It's just it's comfort in that's what we would have watched when we were, you used to wait for the next episode on a Tuesday night to come on, and it was watched on a TV, one of the big thick TVs, the big old ones that I had in university I took from home. Friends, I think, never will get old as such. It's just lovely. I love Ricky Gervais as well, I have to say, and I loved Afterlife.
Whoa. Ricky who?
Ricky Gervais.
Gervais.
What did I say?
Do you not pronounce the S?
Gervais.
Do you?
I don't know actually.
I haven't a clue.
And you know me, I'm not great at names.
You know me, I'm not great. Is it?
Ricky Gervais? I
Go
don't
on.
know. There we go.
Mihal, say straight off now. What do you think?
I'm thinking too much of Ricky Gervais.
I would have Gervais.
I don't know.
I don't know the right
I'm making
answer,
it fancy.
No, I'm not.
I don't know either.
I don't want you to think I'm pulling you up. But
I thought you were right. Don't leave pull you up.
Yeah. Who knows?
Call that to the audience and see what they say.
Yeah, is it Gervais or Gervais? 086 60 25,000.
I'll tweet him here and ask him how he puts.
Afterlife is
Afterlife's
amazing.
phenomenal.
I might go back to that. I think when I first started watching it, it was just a wee bit too deep. But I think now, I might try watching it. Try watching it again. Right, okay, let's get to some more comments. I think you finished that point, didn't you? Ricky Gervais is one of the shows fellas you keep going back to.
Yeah.
At Home with the Furies, absolutely brilliant show. Delighted Tyson announced a second series. Now that must be in the bag for some time, because I think I haven't watched it. He's going through retirement at that point. Now he's been back since then. I'm not I'm not a massive fan of Tyson Fury with some of the stuff he said in the past. But I think it might be fascinating to get an insight there. My comfort show is What We Do in the Shadows. It's Twilight meets The Office and is hilarious. The new season's out in America already. Don't know when it's out here. Greg, are there any more local podcasts out there? I love V&M podcast and no other crap, but would love to hear more locals. Would Maria consider a fitness podcast? That's coming in from your loving husband. No, no,
it's not coming from him because he knows I don't have time for it.
We're here to launch it today.
Do you know the podcast? About 7 or 8 years ago, Orson Sterrett from Northwest Entertainments said to me, you need to do a podcast, and he said he'd produce it and everything. I didn't know what he was talking about. So who wants to sit and listen to me in the crowd of the girls talking? I seem to have missed a massive big boat on that one. But yeah, it's something I've recorded stuff before, but yeah, maybe we'll do a new one on Highland, will we?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm open to anything. Well, I'm going to say I'm sure Highland is. Yeah, I think people... Because I suppose in the Northwest it's a small enough market, right? So people might judge their success on how many people view it, but it's all proportional. Like, I don't think there's no reason why more people shouldn't be doing podcasts. There's a gentleman in the west of the country, Tony McGettigan.
Yeah, Tony's is great.
Mm-hmm.
He does a podcast that's well worth checking out. It's a series of interviews.
Super guest, like Ken Doherty.
Yep. So that's one I can recommend. You don't pronounce the S in Gervais.
Gervais?
Schitt's Creek's always good to rewatch. That's another comfort one for them. So thank God I never interviewed Ricky Gervais then, if I got it wrong. Gervais, not Gervais. Ricky even admits he pronounces it incorrectly. And it is Gervais, as he's part French Canadian.
Yeah.
And the source there's Google. Thanks very much for that. Fab panel today, Greg. These two are so relatable. Love the banter on the show. There two needs to be on more. These two need to be on more. Well, Swanee accept the invite.
Donegal Mammy, Donegal Daddy. The start one, will we?
That's
lovely.
That's when they accept the invite. It's great to have them on. All right, you tuned to That's Entertainment here on the 9 Till Noon show. We've another 35 minutes to go. We want to know what your comfort shows, your return to shows are. Speaking of podcasts, even maybe speaking about Division, because the Free State podcast by Joe Brolly is one, if you were to go onto social media, that most of the conversation about whether he should have or shouldn't have said that, rather than the actual content and discussing it, and that's why I don't engage in that much myself. But you're a fan of this one, Mihal, are you?
I am. Joe is very like that. You can sometimes he gets into himself a bit, but I'm sure he knows he does it. But Dion Fanning's very good at pulling them back as well. Like, but I just had a lot of stuff I could do on my own this week, so I got a lot of earphones in and podcasts on. So he done one with a 2-parter with Roddy Collins, and it's brilliant. Roddy Collins is just a great character. Like, he's amazing.
He managed Finn Harps for a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he used to manage Shelburne and that.
And I think he did a season in Finn Harps, or half a season. I seem to remember.
Yeah, I just remember coming to Finn Harps games with my uncle, and whenever Roddy Collins would come, we were standing behind the dugouts for Roddy Collins just to hear what he was going to be saying. But he does a great chat about growing up with Steve and boxing and the whole lot. And it's just a great podcast. That one's brilliant. Like, he's just really normal for a fella that's a wee bit.
He is a book out as well.
Yeah, he was kind of on to promote the book, but he literally didn't do much pushing on the book.
Sometimes that's the base. That's the way to do it, isn't it?
It was great.
All right, I didn't know they took guests in like that. I haven't listened to it.
A lot of it, most of the time, it's just themselves. But they had that 2-parter with Roddy, and then last week's one there, they just talked kind of about Irish culture and the Rose of Tralee and stuff like that. But it's good, very funny.
And his brother Steve Collins, I think, is one of our best athletes we've ever produced. And when you talk about boxing in Ireland, it's often, obviously, it's going to be about Katie Taylor because of her current status, or maybe Barry McGuigan. But some of the best nights in boxing in Ireland were
Steve Collins,
who can forget him and Chris Eubanks down in a cattle shed, it seemed like, down in
they talk a lot about that there fight, and about the Chris Eubank, how he completely mind gamed him out of it. Like,
made out he was being hypnotised.
Yeah, they made out he was hypnotised, and Chris Eubank, Roddy Collins said he was he ended up in a lift that night after a press conference, and the Chris Eubank got in with his agent, and he was like, he's just not right, he's not. And he was completely spooked by him. It was mad.
And
like,
the advantage he had. And he was sat in the corner. He didn't do the usual jumping around. Steve Collins just took his position in the corner. He definitely had headphones on. I'm not sure about sunglasses, or maybe the hood over his head. But you should watch that fight back just for the crack if you're into boxing, because it's like the audience are in the ring. It is like there's no audience control whatsoever. And it was one of the best. I'd say, arguably, that's probably the best night of boxing in Ireland. But the podcast then is the Free State podcast. Is it designed to sort of agitate to like, sometimes I think presenters, you're supposed to love them or loathe them, but it doesn't mean you get them cancelled because you don't like what they say. Do you know what I mean? We've moved away from where you could.
Yeah. It's Joe Brawley being Joe Brawley, really, and then Dion trying to kind of keep the reins on him and keep the balance a wee bit, like, but it's great because Joe just can go off on one.
You can read that one. I'm not reading that one out. It looks like a minefield, but if it's okay to read it out, hand it back to me. Right, we're going to take a very quick break back with more from Micheál. Do you get where I'm coming from? I ain't opening up that kind of worms. I don't even know what it means. Back with more from Micheál and Maria after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 Till Noon show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
Why leave all the magic moments or great scenes you've captured on your phone sitting there or in the cloud when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using the McGee's app or one of the in-store kiosks, you can upload your photos from your phone, Google Photos, Facebook or Instagram and have them printed instantly within an hour, or in by 10 and ready by 5. See mcgees.ie for more details. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Tá mudna in ESB Networks ag gobar lena chintu go bhfuil síl glán letrach in ándún go léir in éidean. Agus mar chud san chlór náisiúnta an méadrú cliste, tá méadid cliste letrachis á sitsálinis agan i de cheantar. A bhuichastó is beag billa measta a dheofatú. Cabhair se leat súla chuineal ar an méad letrachis a úsáidin tú ar bhealach níos fearr, agus by fáil agad ar thorgaí agus seirbhísí cliste. Déanam it sangó leat rih hitsal de véidir. Tá tilla ólis le fáil ag esbnetworks.ie/smart meter.
New this week at Home Store and More. All bar stools and chairs are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price bar stools and chairs are gone, they're gone. Also, all metal kitchen bins and all painting and DIY accessories are still all half price. But when all the half price metal kitchen bins and all the half price painting and DIY accessories are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. New store now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock, Dublin. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonagher Road, Donegal Town.
Here at House to Home Interiors Bridgend, we are celebrating becoming a sister company of Braden's Furniture Moville. So, for the month of September, we will be marking this occasion with in-house offers, and we will be having weekly and monthly giveaways. Call in to House to Home Interiors Bridgend, only 20 minutes drive from Letterkenny, for all your home furnishing and floor covering needs.
Now we are joined on the programme by Sean McGinley. Sean, fantastic to have you on the programme. A real honour to chat to you. How are you keeping?
Very well, Greg. Thanks. Good to be talking to you.
You indeed. And you're helping us talk about the Allingham Arts Festival, and particularly the pre-festival launch, which is taking place in the Abbey Arts Centre in Ballyshannon this coming Wednesday. And you've been able to make yourself available for that, Sean.
Yes, I was supposed to be taking part in the actual festival, but there was just a clash with work that made that not happen. So it was suggested that they would have the launch a bit earlier, and that I would come and do what I can to help that. So that's sort of what I'm doing now.
And that piece of work, that clash, is Brian Friel's classic translation of Broadway, which is a wonderful piece of work to be involved with.
Yeah, it's a play since I saw the original production of it 40 odd years ago, the field day production of it, it's a seminal play. It's one of the great cultural events in this country of the 20th century. I think it, as a piece of writing and performance, and the significance of the actual play and where it was set. Well, it was performed in the Guildhall in Derry, the seat of sort of imperial power over the centuries, and the play itself is it's arguably up there with the very best that Friel has written, and so it has to be one of the best plays that's ever sort of come out of this country. So there's a production of it going on in New York, and it's been directed by a guy called Doug Hughes, who's a director I've always wanted to work with. And I got a call out of the blue to meet him, and I did, and we sort of seemed to be on the same page. So we're starting rehearsal for that in about 2 weeks in New York. So yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
It sounds a wee bit like the stars have aligned for you on this project, Sean.
Well, it's a great play. It's a play I've always wanted to be involved in, and there it is. I mean, we haven't started rehearsal yet, so it's a very complex play, and it's possible to make him balls of it. That sort of shadow is always lurking in the sidelines, so it makes you work harder because that the having a piece of genius writing doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to have a good production. So we're going to have to work hard to make sure that we do the play and the author justice.
So instead of saying don't break a leg, I'll say don't make a balls of it, Sean.
There you go.
Sean, looking through your body of work, and it's not, amazing stuff. Every title you've been involved with has got name recognition, has been really well received. Not exclusively, but in terms of the majority of it. Do you ever look back at it and A, remember that you did it all, but B, wonder how you've fit it all in?
No, I don't look back at all. I rarely watch my own stuff. If stuff comes off on the TV and I happen to be in a prone position, I might look at some of it, but I don't seek it out. I kind of, my first work experience was in theatre with Druid Theatre in Galway, and we never looked back. It was always, what are we going to do next? How are we going to do it better and all that. And it was, theatre is a very, in the moment, a very present thing. So we were lucky enough to have a bunch of people who were always looking for something challenging. So we did a lot of out there sort of work, like in the 70s and 80s, we were doing avant-garde writers like Sam Shepard and David Mamet and Edward Albee, and along with our own classics like J.M. Singh, the Playboy of the Western World, and others, writers like Tom Murphy and Friel as well. We didn't do much Friel for some reason, but I'm trying to make up for that now. So, yeah.
And I mean, obviously, you started it in a very different Ireland, and Ireland has changed. And, a lot of people have key points or individuals that believe contributed to that change. Do you think the arts and theatre in particular perhaps gets enough credit for, pushing boundaries and influencing the awakening or the development of the country?
Well, the arts are renowned worldwide. The Irish, from Irish literature, from fiction, poetry, drama, is world renowned and has been for a long, long time, and more recently, music and film. And it's very good. But I think the arts in this country aren't funded in the way that they might be when you compare them to other countries, even across the water in the UK, and certainly in Europe. Funding for things like theatre and dance is on a different level to here, but somehow we still keep producing the work. And sometimes you think maybe that the powers that be kind of know that the artists will pull out the work anyway, but I just think it shouldn't have to mean that the artist lives in penury, and a lot of artists don't have a lot of money, so
yeah,
I don't think that's right.
Yeah, and we won't get into it, but there will be a hangover from the controversy of Toy Show the musical. And I know this sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but there will be a reluctance, I think, for people to take chances, especially with public money. And I think, as I say, that's going to have a detrimental impact going forward, even though it kind of got caught up in something completely different altogether. You talked about your establishment of the Druid Theatre, but it's also your early years in Petticoat, a beautiful part of the world, Ballyshannon, of course, and how you came to be the Sean McGinley people know, and you continue to evolve as, and that's going to form, I suppose, the starting point of this conversation in the beautiful Aberdeen Arts Centre in Ballyshannon on Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the town of Ballyshannon I owe so much to, because, from a very early age with the drama festival there, that's still going strong, stronger than ever. I remember as school kids, like, going to every show that was on during the festival week and looking forward to with so much excitement. And to this day, it's like some of the best things I've ever seen in stage, professional or amateur, were in the Abbey Centre in Ballyshannon, like from so-called amateur groups. Like, I think of the Ballintrae players from Monaghan, the Lifford players from Donegal, the Butt players, Sligo Drama Circle, and so on and so on. And more lately now, our own Ballyshannon drama group are hitting the heights with one-act plays and festival plays. I mean, the last couple of years they've been at the All Ireland finals in Athlone, and it was I think the amateur drama movement in Ireland is owed a huge debt of gratitude for what it's contributed, not just to performers, but to you know, I think the audiences in Ireland, all over Ireland, there isn't a parish in Ireland that doesn't have some sort of a drama group. And those audiences are very literate, very drama ready. I'm not sure I'd be doing what I'm doing if I hadn't been exposed at a young age.
Yeah, brilliant. And I only recently went to see some local production. I was blown away by the quality of it, and it's happening in, as you say, in little pockets all over the place. Sean, it's been an absolute delight to speak to you. Continued success, of course, with your career, and particularly with Mr. Friel's work, and I'm sure you'll do it justice. And we look forward to hearing from you at 8 p.m. in the Abbey Arts Centre, Ballyshannon, on Wednesday, September 13th. The doors open at 7:30, and it's free to get in. And I think there's going to be a big demand on the seats. Thanks, Sean.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Lovely chat to you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much indeed, Sean McGinley. He's some operator, isn't he? He's unbelievable, Maria.
Brilliant opportunity. Translations is one of my favourite plays. So I wish him all the best. I hope he has a fantastic run.
And it's interesting that he's acutely aware of the pressure in doing it justice too. You know, you think you've been at it for so long, you've got so much work behind you, but maybe it's that pressure, I suppose, that brings the best out in people.
Yeah, and there is the pressure with the script, like translations and any of Brian Friel's works. They're so nuanced, and there's so much in them underneath the written word that if you get the character wrong, it can change the entire meaning, you know. Mm-hmm. So no, it's great. It's great to hear.
But it shows, like, I think when you see someone like Sean McGinley worrying about
that's what
doing
struck me. Yeah,
but I know the Aidan Gillen done The Faith Healer, and he came because Friel's got such roots to Glenties, and Aidan came up to Glenties just to get a feel for the area, and I was like, you think these guys are. They're just acting and they just go in and do the script, but he came up to get a feel for the area and walked, and you're like, it's amazing how much how much gravitas, I suppose, they hold with Friel.
Maria, I mean, obviously with your involvement in producing stuff, and I know there's moving parts and loads of parts, and they all have to work together and blah 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 blah. But in terms of, you know, how things is staged, directed, produced, or actors' interpretations, what's the critical thing in a show? Maybe not for one of yours, if you prefer, but even for translations, for an example. Like, obviously everyone's going to have a role, but critically, who does the book stop with? Is it the lead? Is it the producer? Is it the stage manager? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think the buck stops with anyone. I think you're only as good as your last performance, and I think one of the key...
who's got the most pressure then, do you think, in that
everyone,
production?
Because I always say this, the person who only has one line in the show, whether it's a drama or a musical, if that line's not delivered, the rest of the show doesn't continue. You know, we talk about confidence on stage, and of course you have to have a certain level of confidence to go on a stage, but whatever day you walk onto a stage fully confident that what you're about to do is perfect, you've lost it. Mm-hmm. You know, nerves are healthy, nerves are good, and I think it's just a credit to any actor or any performer that they respect the material that they're working with enough to know that they could mess it up with one slight intonation wrong or one, you know, but with the, you know... Yeah, everything is, as you said, it's a moving machine, it's a moving part. Yes, the book will stop with the director. Yes, the book will stop with the producer. But anybody can make a mistake on stage. And one of the beauties of live theatre is that no one has the script in front of them in the audience. So even if you do make a mistake, you carry on. And as long as you're telling the story, that's the most important part.
And you, I presume, want to make the best version of that story. You want to create what you believe the author wanted, not necessarily to compare it to the previous best version of it you've seen.
Yes, and sometimes...
And that may mean taking a gamble.
Yeah, and sometimes what the audience actually have such a massive part as well, because they will laugh at a part that you don't expect them to on a Saturday night, and then on the Sunday night they don't laugh at that part at all. So they will bring life into the show as well. It's such a special thing to be able to go onto a stage and perform, and it's such an honour. We have such a fantastic array of musical theatre and of drama groups, and as Sean mentioned there, award-winning groups all over the country, and it starts with the kids. It starts with exposing them, as he said, to this. I mean, in Castlefin, I'm just going to throw this in if you don't mind, Greg. In Castlefin now, at the end of this month, Sarah Holmes Performing Arts is doing Matilda. And there's a cast of over 70 kids between the ages of 4 and 18, and they are rehearsing all summer. And I know for a fact, because my two nieces are in the show, And that is taking a chance, putting those kids out on a stage, getting communities together, letting those children know what it's like, not just to be on stage and be famous, but to actually be part of a team, to learn to read each other on stage,
and the
support each other.
confidence building, personality development.
You can't bottle it.
Yeah, and I went to a couple of recent AVS shows, Abbey Vocational School shows, and they were great. And they weren't great for school shows, because it was transition year children.
Yeah.
They were good shows.
Yeah.
All right, back with more after the break.
The 9 Till Noon show in association with Fit20 Letterkenny. Get fitter and stronger in just 20 minutes. Train once a week with a personal trainer in a climate-controlled gym. Increase strength at any age. Visit fit20.ie to book your free session.
Autumn cattle trade heats up. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
The autumn Mar trade is lit up with factories, northern buyers and exporters competing for stock. 3,500 suckler farmers set to miss out on skep payment. Row over key scheme payment dates escalates. Flat rate tillage payment on the cards. Farmer frustration mounts over TAMS delays. Plus, in Irish Country Living, don't miss our top advice on securing mortgage approval.
All inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Did you know that all household electronic and lighting items are free to recycle? When you recycle e-waste, you're not just preventing it going to landfill, you're also giving it new life, recovering valuable resources that can be used again, and stopping harmful substances from entering our environment. Recycle for free with WE at your local authority recycling centre or participating electrical retailer. Visit weIreland.ie for details. A message from We Ireland, the government-approved scheme for electrical and battery recycling.
Starting to think about what's next? Then don't miss Ulster University's Open Days on the 14th to the 16th of September at our Derry Londonderry campus. Come along to learn about our courses and discover where a degree from Ulster could take you. Discover why Ulster University is ranked number 1 in the UK for job prospects by student crowd. Register now at ulster.ac.uk/opendays.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Big Band Dancing continues this Sunday, September 10th in the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny. This Sunday, it's David James and his band. Doors open at 8:30, show starts 9 p.m. That's David James and his band this Sunday night at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny.
Okay, I can confirm, great news for you, that Alan O'Reilly of Carlow Weather did survive Electric Picnic, and he's back with us again. Good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning, Greg. How are we doing?
Well, how was it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was hot, it was sunny, but it was very entertaining.
Were you ooh-ah up the raring?
I might have been standing outside the tent. I neither confirm or deny that my singing was loud.
All right, shall we stick to the weather?
We will.
Come here, what a beautiful few days we have had, and we are heading into a weekend. What can we expect across the northwest for this weekend, Alan?
Yeah, well, Finner and County Donegal yesterday had its warmest September day on record of 26.8 degrees, and it's likely that'll be broken again today, getting up to 27, maybe even 28 degrees today. Lots of sunshine today. Tomorrow, Saturday, it will be sunny spells, but a little bit more cloud around. Still warm, still 24, 25 degrees. A little bit cooler, obviously, near the coast. The chance of some showers breaking out in the afternoon. Now, the northwest might escape a lot of them, but there is a chance of some showers. And we did have some thunderstorms near Cavan yesterday, so there is a risk of those. Sunday then sees a bigger risk of showers and thunderstorms, with temperatures dropping back a little bit, but still above 20 degrees, 21, 22 degrees on Sunday. Just kind of watch out for the showers. But Monday then we'll see rain move through and temperatures dropping much further back below 20 degrees, back to normal. A nice day for Tuesday, but temperatures back to maybe 15 or 16 degrees.
So in terms of the heat wave, well, it's not a heat wave, but in terms of the hot weather, is that us now?
Yeah, really it is for next week. But some of the weather models do show a chance, excuse me, of it warming back up again towards the end of the week into next weekend. But a lot of uncertainty for next weekend. But yeah, that once you get past it, and actually it could become an official heat wave here in Carlow today. If we get above 25 degrees, it will be our 5th day. So a heat wave in September would be very unusual.
Fascinating stuff as always, Alan. Thanks so much for your time. Have a lovely day. That's Alan O'Reilly there of Carlow Weather. So maybe some indications next weekend could be another goodie. A caller says, I have to say I didn't like At Home with the Furies. He was a bit annoying. Absolutely loved his wife, though. Give her own show. Yeah, indeed. Okay. We're still in the company of Maria Rush and Micheál Brennan, the Donegal daddy. Now that you've sort of blown up, do you wish you sort of went maybe more regional? Northwest daddy? Ireland daddy?
Irish daddy, yeah, possibly.
The sequel. Ireland daddy. European daddy, I don't know. Let's not get carried away. You listen to audiobooks, Maria, and I asked this question in earnest. How do you listen to them without falling asleep?
Because I'm driving.
Good stuff.
No, if I was to listen to it, and I know some people listen to them in bed. I couldn't. I'd be out cold within a few minutes.
Yeah.
I tend to listen to them in the car or if I'm cleaning the house.
Yeah.
And rather than when you're going from room to room, rather than having the radio on or whatever, I would put on an audiobook. Not all the time, but sometimes. I found myself for the first time ever last week getting the book as well as the audiobook because I wasn't in the car enough. It was driving me
insane. So you audioed it, then you'd switch
I audioed it and I mentioned it. A friend of mine had the book and I actually got it from her because I was unable to wait. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It was by Lisa Jewell and it's called None of This Is True.
Yeah.
I'm really good at finding these authors on their 21st or 22nd book, and I think I found somebody new, but actually they've been writing for years. But it was so dark, it was so quite disturbing, very, very difficult content in it, but it was so well written that I literally could have sat in the car for another hour waiting. So I was able to then go between the two and I finished it very, very quickly, and I've actually just downloaded another one by her. So definitely would recommend that. If anybody likes twisty thrillers and you're not overly afraid of what I suppose we would say trigger warnings. There's a lot of triggers in it, but the writing was beautiful, and that's quite unusual in I think modern fiction, to find someone who has a perfect story, great characters, and is a good writer. Often it's one or the other. You've got mediocre writing with really good stories, or beautiful writing with a
yeah.
She now so far, and even I'm currently listening to Then She Was Gone, which is a previous book by the same writer. And she's caught me again. Her writing
you're going to have to get another physical copy.
Absolutely. I know, absolutely.
Yeah, are you a big reader, Micheál?
Not really. I'm
terrible. Like so don't feel ashamed, because whatever you have, as least as you've read, I will beat you.
I have ADHD, and so it's like trying to read is like, oh my god, it's like torture. But you know what I actually done? I seen a thing then one day is that get the audiobook and the physical book, and it's like you're reading it. It keeps you focused.
So you would do two at the same time?
At the same time. Really I only done it now. I only done it recently just to try it out, and it worked really well because it keeps you. You're
the second person who said that this week in conversation.
I'm only recently found out that I.
So in terms of an audiobook in its own, Micheál, do you find the same that you can like it's when you combine the two that you see the benefit?
Yeah, like it just means that you're like there's times there you'll be reading the book and next thing your mind just goes and you're kind of, if you got to the end of the page and you go, what did I just...
Yeah.
And then you read the same page and you could literally read the same page 10 times.
Yeah, and then the frustration kicks in, then you stop, you disengage, don't you?
Yeah. But I like Mindful, the Dermot Whelan book is the one I read. I read it twice now since. It's a great book. But yeah, it's mainly audiobooks I kind of stick to and podcasting.
Yeah, and another podcast... Oh, well, let's just do some... Today's winner of our competition, Anne Griffin in Ballybofey, you correctly answered that question. But the overall winner with 3 months membership is Mary Harkin Ellis. Sorry, Wednesday's winner is the overall winner. That's a real mess up there. So which is which? Right, okay. So today's winner was Mary Harkin Ellis from Annaconningham, but the overall winner was Anne Griffin from Ballybofey, who was Wednesday's winner. Okay, you can make that a bit more clearer for me. It's not your fault, Donna Marie. We'll have it down off there. It's kind of my fault. Anyway, so tea with me, Shane Todd. Who's Shane Todd?
He's a County Antrim comedian.
And
I don't know, is it just that I'm into that more now? But it seems that the comedy kind of world or industry, I suppose, has blown up in the northwest and the north of Ireland. Basically, there's like Shane Todd, Kieran Bartlett. There's a gang of them there that are just really good, really funny. But his podcast is brilliant. He takes in other comedians, and you get a kind of an insight into the show end of the comedy thing, as well as they're obviously funny.
And sometimes it's just the casual conversations around what they're actually talking about that make you chuckle, don't you? I have a few I listen to.
But the one last night I listened to, he had Foy Vance on, and all you ever really hear about Foy Vance is him being grouchy on stage, or him being, and it's a great look at him. He's just sitting having a conversation with Shane, and it's really nice, because I've always got that he's just got an attitude and an ego, but he's not. He's really
What do you listen to your podcasts on?
On Spotify.
Spotify, is it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I mix between BBC Sounds and Spotify. Spotify could be a wee bit clunky.
Sometimes,
I find, because if you just don't get there quick enough, it skips onto something completely different, and you can find it hard to track where you were.
And it goes like completely different.
Like I was listening to a podcast about that awful Lucy.
I was just saying, I was listening to that. Oh my God.
But I listened to like the first 10 episodes, and then I listened to something else, and then it hopped on to like the 60th episode of it or something. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I wanted to hear what you thought about Barbie, but we can't because we've run out of time. Maria Rush, thank you so much for calling in. I really do appreciate it.
No bother. Thank you.
Maria Rush of Rush Fitness. You can check them out as well. They're based here in Letterkenny, isn't that correct?
We are indeed. We're just down the road.
Just down the road from here. Trip over twice and you're on the bench pressing machine from here.
It's okay, we'll help you up.
Micheál Brennan, Donegal Daddy. Check out Micheál, of course, on Instagram, TikTok as well, but he primarily likes to engage with you on Instagram and be nice.
Be nice, exactly.
Okay. Yes. Thank you both very much. Thanks to Donna Marie and Niamh Shields working on the show today. We're back with you on Monday. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the last of the weather until apparently it comes back next weekend. Who's to say? And stay tuned. John Breslin's coming up around